And when they come in, yeah, we live over here on YouTube as well too. Shout out to my people that'll be in the actual YouTube space as well too. We doing a StreamYard simulcast. We're doing both a Twitter space and we're doing our regular podcast here on YouTube. Here on YouTube. So let me give a shout out to my people in Twitter, my people over there in YouTube. For all my people in YouTube, make sure that you guys go ahead, click that notification bell. Make sure that you subscribe to the channel, like, share, comment on tonight's broadcast. Once again, make sure you click that notification bell, like, share, comment on tonight's broadcast. Definitely make sure you guys visit newstoter.com to stay up to date on breaking black news. Once again, visit newstoter.com to stay up to date on breaking black news. We're going to be covering a couple topics tonight. I know everybody's seen the video that's been circulating online. Shout out to our curation partner, the Kansas City Defender. They were the ones that actually broke this actual story, this situation that's going on in Kansas City. So shout out to them. The Kansas City Defender, if you guys have not, make sure you go ahead and follow them on Twitter, Facebook, and all their social media platforms as well too. Shout out to them, another black-owned newspaper, one of our curation partners. So shout out to the Kansas City Defender. But they actually broke the actual story of the young black girl who had a hate crime committed against her, and you had this white male who's been charged. He's been charged supposedly with a felony, attacked her. And we're going to get into that tonight as well, too. That video is circulating. It went viral. It's crazy. I know there was somebody at one time, the girl was suspended herself. You know, so this dude comes up there. He's doing a hate crime. He's yelling all kind of racial epithets. And then he assaults her as well, too. The students have responded at the school. We're also going to talk about a situation that also was on earlier this week or last week, was actually kind of people trying to, I don't know, I won't say big it up, but they definitely been talking about the situation with Outkast rapper Big Boy. Big Boy, one half of the duo with Andre 3000, and they try to say that Big Boy used a racial slur while cursing at this Asian gas station attendant. So we're going to touch up on both of those topics tonight. What's up, Alyssa? I see you up in here as well, too, so shout out to you. And like I say, the space, it'll come when it comes. Our people will come up in here as well, but we're going to go ahead and we're going to touch up on a couple of these actual stories. And I think I might as well lead off with my bad, Big Boy. Need to go ahead and lead off with Big Boy's story first. And of course, we're going to touch up on the story that everybody wants to talk about as well, to the situation with the high school young lady that, you know, was assaulted, had her nose broken and everything else as well, too. This first article says rap star Big Boy accused of using racial slur while cussing out Asian gas station cashier. This, once again, was curated on the Newstoter.com platform. This is from Hip Hop DX, another one of our curation partners, Hip Hop DX. You know, not black owned, is a huge site, and we curate from them as well, too. Big Boy appeared to have used a racial slur while arguing with the gas station cashier. In a clip which is posted to Instagram on Friday, November 24th, the Outkast rapper can be seen at the corner attempting to pay for his goods, which seemed to include several beanies and a bouquet of roses. Big Boy and the cashier then appear to have a brief disagreement over the amount of hats the rapper is trying to purchase, to which he says, "I don't give a F, I'm rich." The Atlanta native then turns away from the cashier, who appears to be Asian, and says, "Mr. Miyagi, that nigga got me effed up," referencing the character from the 1984 film The Karate Kid. Big Boy is yet to comment on the video. The Roses hitmaker is not the first rapper to make anti-Asian remarks. So in this article, they're going to go ahead and they're going to try to frame it. It says that, recently you've had a bunch of hip-hop people in hip-hop rappers been making anti-Asian remarks. In 2021, YG's song Meet the Flockers was removed from YouTube for its allegedly racist lyrics. The song, taken from his 2014 album My Crazy Life, features the lyrics, "First you find a house and scoop it out, find a Chinese neighborhood because they don't believe in bank accounts." Now that's supposed to be anti-Asian. He says, first you find a house, you scoop it out, find a Chinese neighborhood because they don't believe in bank accounts, but yet that's considered anti-Asian, I suppose. YG later changed the lyrics in response to the backlash. Little Pump has also been criticized for using anti-Asian slurs in his lyrics. On the song Butterfly Doors, Pump used the slur Ching Chong and made numerous references to former NBA star Yao Ming's eyes. He was subsequently criticized by comedian actor, I have no idea what her name is, Akawafana, whatever, over the lyrics. She said, always nice to hear a new song with the Ching Chong ad lib. Guess it's better than the eyes chink like some other verses I heard. But can we at least think of some more creative racist epithets at Little Pump? Gunplay is another rapper who spouted anti-Asian rhetoric after posting a video on Instagram where he repeatedly used the racial slur gook and appears to blame all Asians for the COVID-19 pandemic. He also made numerous references to Asian food and stereotypes in the video, which was widely derided. He attempted to apologize by saying he watches Asian porn and denied he was racist. So yeah, and that's from Hip Hop DX. It seems like now you got a lot of people going after hip hop artists saying that they're anti-Asian in some of their material and some of their lyrics. Now we've seen some of the commercials, we've seen some of the advertisement from Asia over there, and Asians are never considered anti-black. As a matter of fact, in hip hop, everybody gets it. You know, black people get it. But for the most part, black people may say certain things about other groups and stuff like that, but they don't hit them the way they hit their own group. But now we got this sentiment that, you know what, this person is anti-Asian, this person is anti-Asian, something that's really been pushed since the actual pandemic. And because he called a man Mr. Miyagi, allegedly, I think this has a video of it out, that's anti-Asian. So I guess by calling somebody Mr. Miyagi, that's now considered an anti-Asian remark. Now, if somebody, you know, called another black person a famous character, if somebody said, well, you're Apollo Creed or whatever, would that be considered anti-black? But apparently so. Apparently, Big Boy is considered anti-Asian because he made a remark. Apparently him and the gentleman had an issue. The cashier had an issue about the amount of beanies that he could actually purchase, which I'm not understanding. If you actually have a retail business, why do you care how many beanies that somebody can? If he came in and wanted to purchase all of them, buy all of them, what's the issue? You should be trying to sell them every last single solitary last one of them. So why would you be upset that he's actually trying to buy all the damn beanies up? If he came in there and all your merchandise that you had in that store, and he said, you know what, everything in this store you got, I got 200 grand, I got 150,000. I want to go ahead and buy every single solitary thing in your store.
Hurry up and buy.
I mean, if he's gonna come in there and buy everything, what's the issue? I mean, that means you go ahead, you sell it, and you can close out early for the day. Thank you. Hopefully we can come in, hopefully you'll come back next month and do the same thing as well too. You put a little sign on the door, close for the day, and you go ahead and you just made a lick. I'm not even understanding that. I'm not understanding why this dude, the Asian cashier, had an issue with him buying. Like he said, F it, I'm rich. Like, yeah, I'm rich. He can come in there and buy the whole damn store. What's the issue with that? DJ, I know you had your hand up. Go ahead. You got it.
Hurry up and buy Newstoter. You took to no taxation. You hurry up and buy. You know what I'm saying? I feel sorry for your family. You know what I'm saying? What you say to me? What you say? I'm rich, son. You know what I'm saying? Who you talking to? You know who I am? You know what I'm saying? I'm Big Boy, outcast. Stand on him. You know, I'm players ball, son. You know what
I mean,
I gotta tell you. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know what this dude was talking about here, but whatever he wanted to buy, if he wanted to buy the whole damn store as a business person, you should have no issues with him buying it. So now, like I say, with the article, they kind of went ahead and they started backtracking. They talk about all this anti-Asian stuff and rap and stuff like that. Yo, this cat China Mac, isn't this the one that be saying nigga this, nigga that all the time?
Oh yeah,
Okay, so he can sit up here and say that, but they can't say anything in their rhymes. All of the movies, I have never seen anybody come out.
Charles White was right.
But hold on real quick. All of the movies, all of these gangster movies, these Italian movies, well, all of them always deride black people, calling you a muñon, a moolie, a nigga, or this or that, a spook, and all this other stuff. Nobody's ever said, you know what? these Italian movies, they're anti-black. We got to go ahead and we got to criticize all of these people that came up with these movies and stuff like that because they're so anti-black. Go ahead, DJ.
I don't care, son. You know what I mean? This is the what do you call it? The Yakuza. No, we don't care about you black people. You know what I mean? Yeah. Yeah, China Mac, you a hoe. There you go.
Let me real quick, guys. Craig say, yo, I know Craig and Neem say, yo, DJ, are you okay, bro? On YouTube, like. Let me go ahead real quick. Shout out to everybody coming up in the space too. Nita Carlos 400. Everybody that's coming up in here. Mel, what's up with you? No taxation. Now I want to touch up on the actual, and we're gonna go back to this as well too, guys. Like I said, y'all may have missed me when I was reading that actual article with about Big Boy, but yeah, Big Boy's not a target of anti Asian hate, I guess, and now that they're starting to kind of take a list of rappers and stuff and talking about the actual the I guess the anti-Asian sentiment in rap music and stuff like that, which is always dangerous. DJ.
So with that being said, no, it's all good. Craig, we over here just bugging out, but at the end of the day, you know, hey, this is the perfect example when opportunity to start buying black. It's the holiday season and all that. So hey, Robbie, if y'all ain't too busy, you're an artist, come on up here. Well, you know, with the views in Big Boy shoes, you know what I'm saying? Shout out to Robbie Blue. Make sure y'all go listen to that brother music. He got the fire. You know what I'm saying? Black State, you're an artist too, man. You're an artist too. Yo, what's good? What happens if you go into the Asian market? Hey, give me all them potato chips off the shelf right there. You know what I'm saying? I want all the rap snacks. Give me all the boosie snacks. You know what I'm saying? Nah, you can only buy 5. Why? I thought you was wholesaling. Like you went to the wholesale spot to come back and sell individually. So you about to kill them right now. You feel what I'm saying? Like you about to come up. You about to sell your whole stock. This is great. Really ever get some more Beanie Babies. You know what I mean? Make the price even lower now because, you know, I guess it's in demand a little bit. You could afford to buy more, sell it for a little less, whatever. But these folks don't care about that. And it's always a language barrier. This is why we should just stop going into their establishment. You know? There you go right there. You're not here for us anyway. Dr. Claude Anderson done told us 1,000 times, they're not here to be your friend. They're coming for resources. And I'm going to put a post up here in a second. It's real fire. And I ain't going to say it word for word, but just to sum it up, if Asians say we're so anti-Asian, why they're doing businesses in our neighborhoods? There you go. What's up, Robbie? How you doing, bro?
Yo, good afternoon, man. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
I want to take something real quick, but go ahead, though.
No, I was just going to say, man, regardless of who wins the presidency, one thing I can say for certain is anti-black sentiment is going to increase, like to the point where they're really blatant. It's funny you guys mentioned the Asian community because literally today I had went to get a massage, right? At a place where I go sometime. I hadn't gone there in like a long time. There was a lady there speaking English. So we're just talking. I'm asking her where she's from. And she goes to say out of her mouth, she said, I don't like black people. I don't trust black people. And I had to go, Scooby? And then she said, but you're not black to me. Like that was supposed to make it better. Nigga, I felt angry, conflicted.
You like skinned.
Nigga, I felt angry, conflicted. Because she said it so like casually without like pausing that for a minute I was like, I said, what the? And then I just went and just started like going in, like kind of making it a political discussion, and she just kind of got uncomfortable. But
listen here, Chung Lee.
What that let me know is all these other groups are taking cues from these white supremacists that black people are an open target, and if you call out racism, they're going to try to like deflect and minimize like what we not only historically consider racism, but just overt racism. They're trying to protect it as free speech. It's a real sick, twisted time we live in. And the whole black people having something against Asian people is a bunch of bullshit, because if that's the case...
Try not to curse, bro. Try not to curse.
Oh, my fault. Okay. It's a bunch of BS because they got business establishments all throughout our neighborhoods. From the time I was knee high, So that's why even when they came out with, the whole idea of stop the Asian hate from the black community, I'm like, while they're saying all that, there's Chinese restaurants, soul food restaurants, you know what I mean? Gas stations, laundromats, especially hair care places and nail places. So I just call it cap.
Yes, sir. Appreciate that, Robbie. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Like I say, we're gonna touch up more on that as well too. I want to go ahead and touch up on this other article. Like I said, I know you guys been seeing the actual news, the video, and like I say, shout out to the Kansas City Defender, for actually putting this out there as well too. It's titled "School Hate Crime: Racist Kid Yells N-Word While Attacking Black Girl, Breaks Her Nose and Hospitalized Her. Black Girl Gets Suspended." Of course, like I say, this dude now, from what we understand, he's been charged with actual felony. We'll see exactly what happens. Well, I know they're going to say that he's a minor and this and that as well too. So we'll definitely see exactly what goes on. And a shocking hate crime at a Shawnee Mission East School, a black girl and student was viciously attacked by a white male student. The assault left her hospitalized with a broken nose. A disturbing turn of events. Bree, the victim, now faces suspension from the school. The assailant has been suspended as well. The incident unfolded last week when Bree nonviolently confronted a white female student for using racial slurs and calling black students slaves. After their argument, they peacefully parted ways. However, as they were walking away, a male student, previously uninvolved, aggressively shouts to Bree, "Shut the F up." Numerous students witnesses appear, surprised and appalled, and Bree responds by asking, "What did he say?" The male student then charges towards Bree while repeatedly hurling the N-word. Students at the high school have voiced their outrage and disgust in the wake of the attack. Jackson, a black student, expressed his concern for personal safety, saying, "Everyone is equally frustrated and angry. It should have never gotten to this point. They're very quiet about it. The administrators won't voice what is wrong. Racist students never get in serious trouble. We're tired of trying to confine the people and administrators who aren't doing anything for us and won't help us." He also highlighted the injustice faced by Bree, who was suspended for defending herself against an unprovoked attack. Charlize, another student, echoed these sentiments, demanding the expulsion of the attacker. This was a serious attack, a textbook hate crime, she stated, emphasizing the need for decisive response from the school administration. She went on to say there are so many warning signs. It's been going on for so long. Most people involved are seniors or upperclassmen. It's been going on for so long. We reported and talked about it, but nothing has happened. She also mentioned how the following hate crime: she is fearful while walking in the hallways. "I don't feel safe going to school anymore. I don't wear my headphones in the hallway anymore. I have to be on watch." Thus far, Shawnee Mission East has not directly addressed the hate crime or explicitly denounced it. The following is an excerpt of an email sent out to the parents. "As a school and community, we know that in order for students to learn, they must first feel safe and supported. Shawnee Mission East teachers, administrators, staffs will continue to do our absolute best to help every student who enters our school feel safe and supported so they can be at their very best. The words we use matter. Racially charged language, insults, and slurs will not be tolerated in our school." The response from the school administrators has been met with widespread criticism from the student body. Many accuse the school officials of failing to address systematic racism within their halls and also for not directly addressing the recent hate crime. The incident at Shawnee Mission East is not an isolated one. Students reported a history of racism at the school, often overlooked, swept under the rug, and downplayed by the administration. They recount experiences of being racially profiled and dismissed by school officials, with one student recalling the principal making racist remarks about black students appearing intimidating or looking like they're going to jump somebody when they're in groups. And a response to what they see is administrative apathy. Students have taken matters into their own hands. A walkout was organized to protest the school's handling of the racial issue. The students' demands are clear: stricter policies against racism, the expulsion of the attacker, justice for Bree, and potentially firing of numerous administrators. As Shawnee Mission East community grapples with this incident, the students' action highlights a growing impatience with systematic racism, the urgent need for change in how schools address these deeply ingrained issues. First off, let's give a shout out to these students at this school right here. Apparently, they've been talking about this for years. They've been talking about the issues at this school. For whatever reason, um, just based off of what the article says and from a couple interviews that you heard from students and stuff, that the Kansas City Defender, shout out to the Kansas City Defender, once again, our curation partner from apparently this has been going on for a while at this school. I can't give you a time frame. I don't know how many years it has actually been happening and taking place or whatever, but apparently, if you got a principal sitting up here and allegedly, if this principal says something that, that the black students look intimidating and they when they're in the group, they look like they're going to, attack people basically or whatever, that's the issue. That's a situation. That's a problem right now. You had students that staged a walkout. That they're trying to get certain administrators. They feel, I guess, that's part of the problem. They're trying to get them kicked up out of there, get them fired. They want the boy that attacked her, that attacked Bree, to be expelled from the school. They want her to be put back in there. First off, I don't understand. You have a right to defend yourself. Okay. And I've never heard any incident if a male goes up and attacks a female student and that female student fights back and defends herself, that she gets suspended as well too. If somebody comes up, you have the right to defend yourself. And I know, people fight at school and stuff and people get suspended and stuff, and they'll say, well, I never understood this. Well, you could have went and got somebody. Well, how am I going to get somebody? Somebody's sitting up here punching me in the face. I'm gonna have to go ahead and defend myself. I'm gonna have to do whatever I can to keep this person up off of me. Now you got a female. This dude here had nothing to do with the conversation. The little Becky, she started off calling black people slaves and stuff, So they had an argument. Apparently they were able to resolve that. Bree apparently talked to the girl. They was able to resolve that. And then here he comes out of nowhere. He's cursing, he's yelling, and he rushes the girl. So what was she supposed to do? Exactly. I mean, I don't understand that situation at all. What was she supposed to do? What did she do to get suspended for? I mean, was she just supposed to sit there and just let him beat her lifeless? He already broke her nose. He already broke her nose. And if that had been reversed, if that had been a black boy that did that to a white girl, you best believe, had he broke her nose, he'd been leaving out of that school in handcuffs. In Kansas City, he'd have been walking right up out of that school in handcuffs. He'd have been handcuffed. The resource officer out there himself would have arrested him. So for the fact that and had this been a black dude, and we just got through reading an article talking about the rapper Big Boy, if this had been a black dude that jumped on an Asian girl like that and did that, he'd be charged with a hate crime and an assault. So I'm not even understanding how in the hell is this even possible? How in the hell can a girl sitting up here minding her own business get suspended? I really want to see exactly what's going to happen with this case right here. Now, this is something right here. The NAACP should have been right out there with those students, and I'm sure as this case gets bigger and you got more cameras and more people talking about it and stuff like that, I'm pretty sure they'll make their way down there because you got the media and stuff talking about it now. It's going viral. But how in the hell can you sit up here and suspend a girl for simply defending herself? And where in the hell were the boys at? I hope it was. I mean, were there any black boys up in there? Did they just sit up here and just let this dude just beat on this girl and not do anything? Where were the male teachers at and everything else like that? I mean, this thing just escalated and got to this point where it was just utterly ridiculous. And now the school is sitting up here walking on eggshells because apparently, allegedly, based off of the article, based off of some from eyewitnesses, based off of what these kids feel at this school right here. A lot of them feel like this school has a long history of being racist. And that's when you're supposed to have your family and everything else coming out there as well, too. So this is really an interesting story right here. I really want to see exactly how this thing is going to play out. Let's see how many black organizations come to the actual rescue. No way in hell. That I know they protesting outside the school, but they should be down there at the superintendent's office as well, too. No way in hell. If that was my daughter, first off, that was my daughter, and all this went down, I would have been down there right then and there. And the kid and his parents, like, they would have had to straighten me straight up. And he broke my daughter's nose after, calling her a nigga and jumping in the argument that had nothing to do with you. That was simply a situation where two females resolved it and went on about their business. And here you come. So, like I say, I question the actual male leadership at the school. I question the actual leadership at the school, period. I want to know what's up with the actual black kids that's out there, the black boys and everything else like that as well, too. So, for this to actually go on and this dude to attack this girl like that, it makes absolutely no sense. Apparently, from what the article also said, the kids are saying that they've basically been picked on and being bullied by the upperclassmen, the juniors and the seniors in particular. It seems like, are picking on these. I don't know if these are freshmen or sophomores that they're picking on, but you can imagine if you're in high school, you're a freshman, and you got somebody 3 years older than you, potentially 18, could be 18, and you could be 14 or 15. That's a big advantage. That's a big differential right there. So, you can imagine some of these kids could potentially be, intimidated by that. You got somebody that's really coming into adulthood, and you're still a developing teen. So that could cause all kind of issues and complications as well, too. I see we got a number of hands up. So shout out to everybody in the space, guys. Make sure y'all go ahead and retweet this space out for those just coming into the Twitter space. For those coming into YouTube, do the same thing as well. Share this on YouTube, guys. Make sure y'all click the notifications. Definitely subscribe, like, share, comment. For my people up in the Twitter space, make sure you guys go ahead and repost. I guess it's no longer retweet on Twitter/X. Repost the actual space out as well, too. But I believe it was no taxation.
I was going to say, let me go in 2 seconds, Howard, before someone go in. That way, just let the people go. So I had a situation like this with my little cousin a few years back, and a little boy spit on him at school. When I tell you, we went up there to the school 15 deep, me and my family, rest in peace to Reggie. You feel what I'm saying? We're not playing. And it was a little black boy that did this. We don't care. Don't put your hands on no little girl. I don't know if you like my little cousin or whatever, or maybe she like you, but don't spit on nobody. The principal was scared, yo. She was about to call the police on us, yo, because they thought we was coming up there to wreck shop, which we was, but, the parents never showed up, was what it was, and then I guess it was what it was after that. But nah, don't ever call me about what it is you did to it, man, because it's over. You know what I mean? Go ahead, though.
Okay, it's either I think either no taxation or Mel. I'm not sure which one of you guys had your hand up first.
Mel and Black had their hands up for me.
Okay, how you doing tonight, Mel?
Hey, I'm doing good. Shout out to the room, everybody in the room. Peace, love, reparations. So I saw that video, and I agree with everything you've said about it, Toter. But I think there's going to be an issue simply because the young lady walked towards the guy as well. He said something off screen, and she said, "What?" And then he came with his clap back. She went in his direction. He came towards her, and boom, it was on and popping. Because I remember when I was watching that, I was like, why would she approach this male? So I think just simply by her approaching him, they're going to use that as a technical foul, and he's not going to get what he should get as far as breaking the girl's nose and just being inappropriate at all. So, but the other issue for me is the fact that they have done everything they possibly could to take the real history out of the schools, and so that white people will not be discomforted. And this is what this has birthed: more racist behavior and activities, because CRT is illegal. So we really do need to get this fight back alive to have Black history in its entirety taught in the school. And all of these racist things that are going on in school, the Buffalo shooter, the guy that went to the one college but ended up killing the folks up there in the Dollar Tree or Dollar General, these are great cases for our argument for why CRT needs to be back in the schools. It's just, this crap, because I'm respecting you, news. But this crap is out of pocket. And they've written all these laws specific to make white people feel comfortable, and as a result, Black people are uncomfortable now. So where's our discomfort bill? Where's a law for to make sure we are comfortable, or we're not made to feel uncomfortable at the hands of white folks? So I'll land right there.
All right. Thank you, Mel. Appreciate it. Let me go ahead and get to Black Majority State. Black, what's going on tonight?
Hey, how's it going? Shout out to Newstoter, DJ, everyone in space here. I saw a video earlier where the mother, well, the daughter was being interviewed, but the mother was there as well, and she spoke. Man. So, after hearing
that's why I
everything
didn't
you
want to
said,
even want to click that picture. That's why I didn't even want to click on the video, bro.
yeah, after hearing everything you said, that there is like this backstory of issues that are going on in this school that are racially related, and it just reminds me of the little black girl, I think her name is Ruby D, that they have, these paintings of. They sent her into this hostile zone with armed guards. In this situation, and I'm very hesitant to ever do it, I've got to blame this mother. Like, why would you continue to allow your child to go into a hostile environment just to get an education? I think that's absurd. Because this to me was a predictable outcome of the previous things that were going on in this school, if not worse. I mean, we know about the brother who was rolled up in the gym mat or whatever, and others in these schools with these psychopaths. I just can't excuse the parenting in this situation because, kids are kids, yada, yada, yada. But this is not a childish situation. These are adult feelings. We know about the school shooters. This guy sounds like he is primed to be that type, to show up with an assault rifle with a bunch of racist shit all over the gun. Excuse me. So I just think the mother has got to make a decision to protect her child, which is either moving out of the area, homeschooling, cyber schooling, doing something that where she puts her daughter as a priority versus whatever is going on in that area, in my opinion.
All right. Thank you, Black. Let me go ahead and get to no taxation. No taxation. What's going on? Anybody else that wants to speak on this topic tonight? Like I said, we're covering the situation at the high school with the young black girl that actually got her nose broke, was a victim of a hate crime. We're also talking about the situation for those that want to talk about it with Big Boy and being accused of a racial slur by calling an Asian at a gas station Mr. Miyagi. And now we're starting to see people trying to use a long laundry list of what rappers say about Asians and trying to basically looking like they're trying to form a bunch of anti-Asian sentiment that's going on in hip hop as well too. So we're covering those two topics tonight, and shout out to everybody that's coming up in the space as well. No taxation. How you doing tonight?
Hey, News. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty good.
That's good. Hello to everybody in the room. I hope everybody is well. I hope y'all have decided that whatever happened in 2023 can kiss your ass, and you're waiting on 2024 like I am. And that you're not going to come in with any, I'm trying to get away from Plato as I speak. You're not going to try to do any mental gymnastics for next year because we had to do too much in 2023. Here's the thing. I want to give y'all a little history, a background about Shawnee Mission and that whole area in there because I used to live there. But first I want to say, if they think Mr. Miyake is a racial slur, wait till they hear what I got to say. And if Big Boy want to have a racial slur, well, white folks said we have freedom of speech, so what's good? So that's how I see it. And they better leave Big Boy alone because he's from the dirty. And so he don't care nothing about them folks. Okay, having said that, let me tell y'all a little bit about Shawnee Mission, Shawnee Mission East, and Shawnee Mission West. When I lived in that area in my parents' home years ago, I was the first black person to ever enter into the junior high in that area. So I desegregated it. And a white boy did call me nigger. And I had a fight in the open area of the school with that boy. And he lost and I won. When the first day I went to the school, apparently word was out that I was coming, and there was a big sort of a banner sign written on paper, "Go home, nigger." Now that was in Overland Park, Kansas. Shawnee is the neighboring town, neighboring county. Only black folks lived in Shawnee. When we moved to Overland Park, there was no black folks there. And my father chose to live there for a very specific reason, because he's from Kansas City, Missouri, and I guess he had vengeance to pay, and he got a political position, and it was headquartered in Kansas City, and so he moved us to Overland Park, where black folks could not even step when he was young. You couldn't even go there if he was black. You couldn't even go. It wasn't even no sundown town, because you ain't gonna go there. So that's the way that was. All the black folks need to go to Shawnee. There was no Shawnee Mission East High School when I was there. There was a Shawnee Mission West High School over there in Overland Park. The high school then, all black, was called Shawnee. That's all it was called. So now it's called Shawnee Mission East. Now this was, decades ago, right? So, and this is for black. What happened with Shawnee was poor crackers that thought they were middle class that couldn't afford Overland Park, Kansas. They decided to move into Shawnee, a section of Shawnee, and sort of take it over from the black folks. So originally, it was where the black folks had to live. And now it's a place where poor crackers that want to be considered middle class live, mixed in with the blacks that have previously been there. Okay, so that's probably why they're still there. Maybe they didn't choose it. Maybe it's that's where they were born. That's where they homesteaded, that kind of thing. And I still think they ought to pull up roots. I lived in 9 states and 2 foreign countries, so that's not my home. But it is a place that I experienced in my journey. It's an extremely racist place. So much so that even our neighbors, the neighbors on both sides of us were very kind, very nice, and no problems. But everybody else in the neighborhood, nah. I can't tell you the amount of racism that I experienced there because it would take a book. So in Overland Park, where no blacks were supposed to live, no blacks could not go when my father was coming up in Kansas City, and we got there to be the first ones. And so we caught hell, and especially me, because I had issues and difficulties getting along with racists. Not that my brother and my sister could get along with them, but they didn't bother them as much as the racists bothered me. I don't know why that was. But anyway, I wanted to give you all that history lesson and to tell you those are the people that you have to target, the black people there. You have to target them and tell them that there's another way outside of where they live, and that they need to come over to the east side of the country where majority black folks live. Reason being because there's a level of better protection that you have here than you would have in the Midwest. That particular area is a hot spot of racist behavior and activity. It's been that way for many, many years, many decades, like other places around the country. And no amount of anything is going to change it, I see. The other thing that I wanted to say is that the hope is in those people moving out of those places. That's the hope for us to have black majority states. Those are the people and those are the places we have to tap into to say, hey, here we are. We see what happened to you. We know what happened to you. And we're very sorry what happened to you. But we would suggest that you come over here with us. That's what we suggest. I can't imagine if I had to have lived the rest of my life in that place, what could have happened to me. Because the racism there is, it's akin to Chicago. I'll say it like that. Or parts of Staten Island, you know, where them white folks have those enclaves and they're not going to give up those enclaves. It just so happens in this instance, the white folks kind of took that county over from black people. And black folks at that time when I was there in Shawnee were dirt poor and living in poverty. So I just wanted to give you all that history lesson because when we talk about a little girl in these days and times having to fight a white boy because he called her nigger, the same thing happened to me not too far from where she was fighting that white boy. And I'm sitting over here 70 years old. And she's over there just a baby. And so that tells me that nothing has changed. And those are the people that we gotta try to extend ourselves to let them know that there's other things and other ways that they can live their life and have a quality of life without having to be in a hotbed of racism every day. And I'm going to leave it there.
All right. Thank you. No taxation. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Let me read a comment real quick on YouTube. JC says, I bet he don't fight a young black man. He knows what would happen. The young lady was kind of holding up. No, he's not gonna. He might fight a young black man that he thinks that he could beat. But if it's somebody he has question about, he's not gonna be all that keen to try to jump on him. Let me go ahead and get to Little Bear. Little Bear, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Hey, Newstoter and the co-host and all the family in the room. I just want to say, actually, Shawnee Mission East is my alma mater. I graduated from East. I am a Lancer, which is their mascot in 2016. And I just want to elaborate a little bit more what No Taxation was communicating about. So, although Shawnee Mission is in Overland Park, it's a subset of that, but it is one of the wealthiest counties in the nation. My parents, I went to school, grade school and middle school in Kansas City, Missouri. My parents decided to move over to, actually the name of that community is called Leewood and Prairie Village. They decided to move over to that area for education. The schools in Kansas City had lost their accreditation. And when it comes to like getting into certain colleges or getting scholarships, it made it, rather difficult if you were not going to like one of the private schools in Kansas City, like Lincoln, High School and St. Teresa's, Rockhurst, just other more like affluent schools, but on the Missouri side. So we didn't have a lot of options if you wanted to, really receive a good education. I was the first Black American cheerleader for Shawnee Mission East, and the only one the entire 4 years I was there. The population of Blacks in that school district in that school, Shawnee Mission East, was about 2%. I believe now it's 3%. So we're talking what, 2016, and this is 23. These are some of the kids I went to school with. I mean, I was still getting dropped off, by my parents or riding the bus. And these children were pulling up in Range Rovers, Hummers, Jeeps, drop top Mustangs, and BMWs at 15, 16, and 17 years old. So I cannot explain to you like the wealth there. Talking about in million homes in that community, in that district. So, and not that we, were on that level. We were, barely making it. Definitely very much middle class. But my parents were able to find a little nook there where we were still able to go to that school. So I also experienced a lot of racism. It is nothing new to that school in that area. East happens to be one like the most racist and classist schools in Shawnee Mission. You have other ones now, Shawnee Mission West, Shawnee Mission Northwest, and Shawnee Mission South. They're still your typical white folks, but, and some of them, are trash, like No Taxation was saying, but East is kind of like a different little beast, and very affluent in nature. It was nothing for, the white girls and white boys to be snorting coke and, doing all kind of other things that, our community is not necessarily exposed to at, that young of age. So, that is just kind of add a little bit more context to the situation. You had asked Newstoter about, were there any Black boys there? Probably not. There's not a lot of Black men. I believe it was maybe that I could count, on both hands and still have some fingers left, how many of us it was. So there was maybe one or two Black boys when I were there, and most of them were there to play football, honestly, or, by some right of basketball. So it's just, you do feel alone. We had some racist things going on, N-word, all kind of things that, they would say, you would hear in the halls and different little enclaves there. And at one point, we did try to kind of rally together. This is when I can't remember who it was, because there's so much different racism going on, but there was some kind of uprising through the nation. And so we tried to bring that to the forefront in the school and be talk about diversity and inclusion. The principal at the time, I met with them plenty of times because I was one of the leaders kind of leading that march, and it got a little traction, but it was all just a, pony, dog and pony show. They were not really serious about, really having a diverse and inclusive mindset and changing these kids. It's a learned behavior. They're getting this from their parents. They're bringing it to school. There's no accountability. They are very much learn at a young age that the rules don't apply to them. And that is truly the culture and the mindset there. I do remember at one point, I had a white boy threaten to come and burn a cross in our front yard. And that was very traumatic, to me. So, Black is not as easy to say, it's easy to say you blame her mother, this, that, and the third. But when you have to really understand the education system here, Kansas, like Overland Park, Johnson County, Kansas City, Kansas, and Kansas City, Missouri, it's a border state. So all of the stuff in the lines just kind of run together. And but it's crazy. It is absolutely crazy. When I graduated, I did go to I went to Tuskegee. It was like, parents was like, okay, we got you that quote unquote education. Now let's take you to an HBCU where you can continue to grow, love on yourself and be around people that look like you and support you. And that really, helped me a lot. So I'll stay up here, but that's pretty much all I wanted to say for now.
Okay. Well, thank you, Little Bear. I appreciate you coming up here and adding some context to what No Taxation said as well, too. So you guys are from that actual area. So you would definitely be experts on exactly what goes on out there. So I appreciate you coming up here tonight. Got my girl Trouble up here. Trouble, what's going on?
Hey, Newstoter. Shout out to the family up in the cut tonight. Everybody, hope everyone is well. So I just kind of came in to chime in and add my little 2 cents about Kansas schools. I grew up in Wichita, Kansas, which is in the middle of Kansas, approximately, probably about a 2.5, 3 hour drive from where this incident took place. Depending on how you drive, I'm probably gonna get there in about 2 hours, 15 minutes. I'm just saying, but the school system in Kansas throughout the whole state, and that includes the border cities that are close to Missouri, is all the same. Even in Wichita, we were bused to schools, and it's the way that they have their system set up. And so I went to predominantly white schools, and so it is a culture where the white kids look down their nose. It's learned behavior and how they act towards black kids. And the way the Kansas school system is set up is they make sure that when they select which students go there, that there are only so many black students within the school system. That's how they were doing when I was coming up, which would have been mid-late 80s, 90s. And so I can just imagine that it hasn't really moved very much since that time frame. Like taxation, I got into a fight with a white boy in my junior high year. Of course, during those time frames, we had junior highs and not middle school. So 7th grade, he was a guy that was a part of a gang called the Stoners. He bumped into me, and you're talking about where the type of racism in Kansas schools I dealt with. First, I'll start with what I dealt with in elementary, with the white students openly calling me niggers and dirtbags, grease monkeys, boogaboos, to my face in front of the teachers, and I was not allowed to have a reaction or react or retaliate without being told, get over it. Sticks and stones may break your bones, but words will never hurt you. Stop being so sensitive. My mother had a policy, no fighting. And I feared more of them switches in the corner than I did anybody at school, but I had a fear of fighting in school. And that was one of my mom's main rules, because she didn't want to have the problems with the white folks that she had to grow up with, because she grew up in the South. So fighting at first wasn't an option. So she had a rule. You tell the teacher 3 times. You go to the principal, you tell me each time. We document it. We do what we do from there. But these are the things that I was being told from the teachers. Suck it up. Stop crying. I had an incident, the one last incident, where the 2 white girls sat in front of the teacher. She gave them a bucket to play. We was on recess. They filled that bucket up with dirt. She allowed them to go to the corner of the school and fill that bucket of dirt up with water, and they made mud. Now, this was a day that we had somewhere to go after school, so I wasn't supposed to get dirty, so I wasn't playing on the playground
I was just kind of milling around in the grass area. I'm looking at the three teachers standing there talking, looking at the other girls laughing, knowing that they knew what the girls was getting ready to do with that bucket of mud. Because they're whispering and laughing and looking at me. I had on this purple and white lace dress with satin and all kind of little twirly doilies and things going on. I was cute. I was cute, honey. I thought I was cute. And them helpers came, and the teacher distracted me. And the girls came up from behind me as the teacher was calling me and poured the mud on top of my head all down my dress. And I stood there with this mud like Carrie from the movie Carrie, with all the blood rushing down her with all of this mud, as the three white teachers stood there laughing. I stood there and I cried because I wanted to fight so bad, but I already knew I was going to get a whooping when I went home. And I stood there and I cried, and the teacher told me, "Suck it up. Stop crying. Oh my God, you're such a baby." And then the girl turns around and said, "Well, you're a true grease monkey now." And they're laughing, teachers, the students. And she, "Oh my God," she calls my name. "Go inside the building and go get yourself cleaned up. Look at what you've done. You've made a mess." This is the third grade. "You've made a mess." So I go back inside the building. I walk past the kindergarten classroom, and I knock on the door because there was a black woman in there who was friends with my mother. And when she seen me, she just grabbed me, and I just broke down crying in her arms, and she called my mother to come up to the schoolhouse. And it was on and popping from there. And that day, my mother told me not to ever accept that type of abuse, not to ever take that type of vitriol coming from the peoples. And she blasted the teachers and the principals out, and she went to the Board of Education. But of course, the Board of Education didn't do anything about it. And so when I went back to school a few days later, because she gave me a respite from these white folks. And she told me that when she told me that fighting wasn't something I was supposed to do, what she had meant was I wasn't supposed to start or pick a fight. But I was never she didn't mean for her words to scare me into the point to where I wouldn't fight, because at that moment she felt like somebody had deserved to get slapped down. So I don't know why she told me that, because when I went back to school the next day, I made it a point to start slapping people left and damn right. And I was tearing Jessica Bounds and Danielle Cook's ass up for the rest of the damn year. Any chance and opportunity I got, I would say something and make them say something to me so I could dig off in that edge. And it was, the change in me changed from that moment on. That incident really kind of formulated the person that I am now, because of so many different, there was a lot of racial incidents that I went through at 5 years old, 6 years old, when I lived in Massachusetts with my father. But it continued when I went back to Kansas to live with my mother. It never got better. It just got worse. So all of those incidents changed the core being of who I was, because I felt like I was a rambunctious child, but, it was controlled rambunctiousness, and that just brought the hellfire in me. Fast forward to 7th grade, still yet in Wichita school, still yet in predominantly white schools, and this white boy bumps into me in the hallways and tells me to move back, dirtbag, because they really had a problem with how they responded to black students. And the two teachers in junior high stood right there and watched him bump into me. And they looked at each other and they smiled, and that flash in my mind from the 3rd grade came back, and I flipped. When I flipped on homeboy, as the teacher stood there and laughed, and he took his big history book, and he pounced me upside my head. I seen stars a little bit as I fell up against the stairs, but I seen red when I came from up off them stairs. And I attacked that boy. Now, you're talking about somebody who wasn't but 95 pounds, a buck wet, soaking wet. But honey, when I came from up off them stairs, I was like an alley cat on that ass. And this was a tall white boy, thick. It's kind of scary. A lot of the black guys who went to school with me was scared of him. There was some black guys because when a fight take place, everybody circle around. The teachers didn't try to stop the fight until the white boy started getting his behind toe out the frame. And I mean all the way out the frame. Because when I got that tail down, I stumped him. Now they want to come and stop the fight. But see, as long as he looked like he was the one who was going to win, they continued to let the fight roll on. None of the black boys jumped in because they were scared of the stoners at the time until they seen me handle them. Then there was all of the excuses later on. Well, I would have stepped in, but you look like you was handling it. It took about 3 principals and 2 teachers to pull me off that boy's behind. And even then, I was grabbing holds of walls and everything trying to get back at him. But I got suspended. He was able to come back to school. I was suspended because they said I wrecked out, I blacked out on him. That is how the Kansas school system is, where it's a whole system surrounding our children where you are made to feel like you don't have no recourse. You can't retaliate. You're not supposed to feel no ways. You're supposed to suck it up. You're supposed to buddy up. You're supposed to let sticks and stones break your bones because words could never hurt you. You're not supposed to feel no ways about it. You're supposed to take that abuse and understand you in our world and we make the rules. And I've lived my life around crackers my whole life with them thinking that they make the rules, they run this. So when I tell y'all a lot of times that I'm not the type of person that when people say I don't advocate for violence, I'm not sheep. I done seen too much. I done been through too much. I done felt too much to where I'm at a point now where all gloves off by any means necessary, and I mean any means necessary at any given point in time. Because they don't care about us. They don't care about our kids. And when we're in a situation where they send you where they want you to go, and they make sure it's only a select amount of black people who are in these institutions so that you don't feel like you got any backup, so that you don't feel like you have any help. In all of the years that I went to school in Kansas, from elementary to high school, in all of my classes, except for the last high school I went, it was never more than 2 or 3 black kids in a classroom at a time. Never. That white boy need his behind handed to him. It's not the mama's fault, because sometimes as a parent, you don't really know what else you could do, because it doesn't matter if you move across town. It's a system. You can move across town and they'll still say, okay, well, there's too many people at the predominantly black school, so we gonna send your child way across East Boomba to this particular school over there. It doesn't matter, because they got a whole system between the schools, the teachers, the principals, and even the Board of Education. It is benign neglect across the board. So I just wanted to add that little 2-piece in about Kansas school systems. I know taxation was saying that it was decades, but even in the years where I was going to school at, it had got any better. I know the other sister said, well, she was there around 2016 and it still hadn't got no better. Like I said, the racism is that old covert racism where they'll call you a nigger in your face with a smile. Oh, you're such a silly little nigger. Oh, and you're supposed to eat that. And I land.
Thank you. Trouble between Trouble, Lil Bear, and No Taxation. The international show off, he just tweeted, he says, true stories from victims of white supremacy being told. Like, he ain't lying. Like, yikes. The stories that you guys are sharing with us in this space tonight about the about Kansas City and the area, Shawnee, and all this other stuff. I mean, this is really really hard hitting here tonight, guys. I really have to say that, and I definitely trouble. I could hear it in your voice, having to relive that and go back through that as well too. So I know that couldn't have been easy what you went through. So I'm glad that it made you strong and made you come out. Because yeah, we would have at that age, I think when I was maybe 5 or 6 years old, maybe in kindergarten, and I had went to school and I got jumped by a couple boys, and I came home crying. I told my dad, and he's like, "Listen here, I don't care who it is. The next time if you get jumped, you get at least one of them." And that was like all he had to tell me at that age right there. So I can definitely I can't even imagine what you went through with the actual insults and everything else like that as well too. I was bad for fighting like that, so I know I would have yanked them up. And your mom, like how she came out to school, my mom, she would have been out there as well. So she went off on the teachers, the school board, all of them. So it would have been going down for real. She probably would have snatched one of them teachers up out there too. If you had told that story to her and them teachers sitting up there going off on you, oh yeah, it would have been an issue right there. But like I said, y'all are really tonight, man. Y'all are really, really, really bringing it. So I have to really go ahead and say I know it's not easy because I heard it like in everybody's voice that's been speaking so far, and you can imagine and think about it. No taxation is 70, trouble. You're in your 40s, a little bit. I'm not sure how old you are. Think about it. And now you got this girl that's probably anywhere from I'd imagine anywhere from 14 to 17, and she's going through that today. She got her nose broke. Behind this dude right here. He comes up, and yeah, I mean, this is really like tonight. Like this is really really, really, really triggering people. Is really hitting home. I know that video wasn't the easiest thing to watch or whatever either. And like I said, I'm just glad to get. I'm glad that you got the ladies that's actually from this area. You actually got sisters from this area actually speaking about this situation tonight as well. Too, it'd be one thing if you had brothers from that area or whatever guys speaking, but the fact of the matter that you got sisters from different generations as well. You think about that. The generations removed from one another to this young girl that had this situation happen to her. I mean, it just lets you know, like, as far as we talk about we've come as a nation, we know we hadn't come all that far, to be honest.
Can I just butt in and add something?
Go ahead. No taxation.
Before you get to the other hands, I want to tell you the ending of my story and something that's very important for Black folks because yeah, I'm the oldest one and telling my story, but my father had a story. He'd been dead and gone since 2014, and he died at the age of 86. And he's from Kansas City. And the reason he moved us there because he got a new political position. And it, the headquarters was in Kansas City. And he was a Black Republican. But when he was in school in Kansas City, he went to Lincoln High. When he was in school in Kansas City, the white teacher asked him, then the rest of the class, what do you want to do when you grow up? What do you want to be? And my father answered and said, I'm going to live in Overland Park. And she said to him, you can't even go in Overland Park, and laughed. And he never forgot that. So when he got a political position, to be in charge of that state and four other states, as far as economic and business was concerned, he hurried up and moved his family to Overland Park. So it must have weighed on him all his life. But here's what happened to me in my fight. Because of my father's political position, he could pull strings and do what he wanted to do. Now understand that ain't no Black folks ever been to that school. When my mother went and enrolled me in the school, it's called Broadmoor Junior High. I was in junior high. That's when Malcolm and Martin was in. I used to skip school and go to the park, go in Kansas City and go down to the park and listen to Malcolm. I ain't skipped school for Martin, but I skipped school for Malcolm. But so we going way back in time, right? Here's the thing. My mother took me up there, asked the man, the principal, both of them was racist, but the vice principal was worse than the principal. How many Blacks attend your school? He said, she will be our first. Okay? And so that's what I was up against, but I wasn't scared for some reason. I should have been, but I guess I ain't got the sense God gave me. So what happened was I left after we had an exposed brick wall in the junior high where everybody would be and meet and all that kind of stuff. And he called me a nigger, and that's when we started fighting. And when I got through with him, his head was in that brick wall, okay? Because I don't start fights. I'm like trouble. I'm not starting no fight. But if you come at me, I'm going to have to do something. And I just clicked. And I was a little bit scared after that because I knew he had a big family. And I said, I don't want one of his brothers and sisters coming after me, you know. But I went home and told my mother what happened. Told my father what happened. They suspended me and said she can't come back to school for 3 days. They were so happy. My father and my mother did not believe in suspension. You go to school every day. They don't give a damn how you acted in that school. You still think you're behind the school, okay? And so my father had a county sheriff, my hand to God, and he went up there with me and had the county sheriff meet us at the school. And he told the principal and the vice principal that county sheriff had orders to shoot to kill anybody who bothered me and put their hands on me. See, my father was trying to tell those white folks, you don't run nothing, I do. And she's going to school. And that sheriff stayed with me one day. I tried to get him to shoot so many. Shoot her. Shoot him. Shoot. He said, he been bothering me. I need you to shoot him, because I was that child, right? It's always one. I was that one. And I guess everything settled down and everything got quiet because the next day he wasn't there. He was supposed to keep beating me at the school. I thought he was going to be there day 2. But in day 1, everything was straightened out because what they weren't going to do was play with a black man who had infiltrated their place, the entire county, and lived in a place where no other black folks had ever lived, sent his kids to school where no black folks were, because my sister went to Shawnee Mission West. She was the first one up there. And my brother was at the elementary school. And have anybody white bother them. It's not going to happen. And so there are times, black folks, when there are powerful people in this country that will put white folks in their place back in the day. Now, we're not doing it so much anymore, and that's part of our problem, okay? Not that we need to be in a powerful position to put them in place, but we're not putting these folks in their place, okay? Not even on a daily basis. You can't ignore racism, not even daily. And so everybody, if you heard the story, it goes back in time to when my father was a child and was told that he couldn't even go in that place. And Trouble told you what it is. It's a system of racism that they have created. And it is highly dependent on the local politicians and the school board to keep it in place. Now understand what Black Majority is trying to tell y'all and why it's so important. And I'm going to leave it there.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. No taxation. Real quick, guys, for those that have not subscribed to the YouTube channel, definitely go ahead and subscribe. For anybody that's looking at the actual broadcast that's on YouTube, make sure you guys click the notification bell. Go ahead and like, share the comment. Also subscribe to the YouTube channel. Same for my people up in the Twitter space. We got the YouTube link up in the actual Jumbotron. Definitely for everybody in the space, go ahead and retweet this space out as well too. If you have not retweeted out, definitely go ahead and retweet the space out and give it a like as well too. For those that can support us on Cash App, $Newstoter, $Newstoter. Newstoter is the largest Black-owned, Black American news media curation platform today in America. Once again, Newstoter is the largest Black-owned, Black American news media curation platform today in America. $Newstoter, $Newstoter. For those that do not have Cash App, the Venmo and PayPal is up in the Jumbotron. For my folks on YouTube, for those that don't have don't have Cash App, the Venmo and PayPal is up in the actual description and the actual Cash App. You guys can see that on the actual broadcast itself. Let me go ahead and get to And I want to get to the international show, but I see he's disconnecting. So when he comes back up here, I'm gonna get him up here. Let me go ahead and get the Black majority state. Black, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Okay. Oh man, that like, phew, God, so traumatizing to hear the stories, and so man, I want to say my apologies to all the ladies who went through that. So I just passed my 49th birthday recently, born in the 70s. And what I can tell you from me as a young black male growing up in this country, I've never experienced anything even close to that. I do know in my youth, if I had even been, oh my God, anywhere near anything even close to that in my youth, those people would not have survived that encounter. Man, and I can't imagine being a father of a daughter. I have a granddaughter, and I can't imagine her going through anything like that ever. I don't care what I have, what I'm working towards. I just cannot fathom anything like that occurring. So my heart bleeds for beautiful black women going through that kind of experience in this country, in the same area, which is even more insane. Like, I can't even wrap my head around the last hour of conversation. I want to say this, because I know there was a desire to kind of protect the mother, the parent in the situation. In the 60s, again, I think the young girl's name is Ruby Bridges. It made sense to that era of people because they were fighting for what they believed they needed to reach full U.S. citizenship, to reach liberation, to reach freedom. And that was to sit next to white people. That was so that the white people that hated them would recognize their humanity, see how talented they are, see how beautiful they are, see how intelligent they are, and then eventually that would create this miraculous transformation in the hearts and minds of these sociopaths. Today, as we enter 2024, what are we actually fighting for when it comes to allowing our children to be put into these hostile environments, again, just to get an education? My son in the 3rd grade had a boy threaten to bring a gun to class. So he brought a knife to school in his book bag. The teachers found out about it and they suspended him. So he was essentially expelled from the school district. That was in the 3rd grade. He went to another district for the 4th grade, and then by the 5th grade was in another school district. That each school district or each school that he went to was successively worse than the 3rd grade school in terms of the violence occurring within the school. His mother, to her credit, pulled him out of school permanently. He spent the rest of his education in cyber school, being schooled at home, graduated with honors. There isn't a goal in this world where I would put my child in harm's way. Certainly not to be at their schools, to sit next to them, to eat at the same table as them while they call my child derogatory names. If the parent isn't responsible for their child, who is? I don't like for me there is no excuse. There's just no excuse for it. And up until whatever date or whatever point in time where it was the goal, I'll accept that. What is the goal today? What is the goal for that girl who in the interview, while she's smiling because she's nervous, is saying, I am afraid to go back to that school? And the mother, who, in my opinion, where's the father at? Okay, the parents should know what's going on in that school. They should have a relationship with their child, so the child says, hey, this happened in school today. This person said this. That person said that. There's a small group of us against all of these racist pieces of trash. Why do you keep sending me there? Because again, as a male, that's zero tolerance for me. Zero tolerance, and I don't want that person to breathe anymore. Yeah, we got some real hard decisions to make, but I think we're just roaming around aimlessly with no real direction. And then we just are, for whatever reason, unfortunately, accepting conditions and situations that predictably lead to situations such as this. There were numerous red flags and warnings in this particular situation. And I'm not comparing it to anybody else's situation because, to be quite honest, those are tragedies. Like tragedies. I would never put my child through anything even close to that. To me, this is like a foreign language because I just don't understand the desire to go through that level of trauma.
Quick and respond.
Real quick, little bad. Let me get the mail first because she's been waiting for a minute. Then I got you next.
Yeah, thanks, Newstoter. The stories tonight. Oh my God, this should be on 60 Minutes or something like that. But I see. I'm feeling Black 100% when he first made his statement. I'm feeling exactly what he's saying, and then the radical person in me is looking. I'm thinking about the lady in Chicago that in this documentary that we had that we screened earlier this week, who was going to leave Chicago, and but she said, "You don't know this. This is my home. This really is where I'm from. I'm not going." And so she stayed, but she also started making some community and social changes, and so to get this even crisper picture of what the socioeconomic level is there in that school district. I forgot what it was called. So to find out that everybody up in there, according to Little Bear, that they're pretty much balling. Okay, then the rebel in me says, y'all bring our behinds down here because we're going to resolve this. These are people paying property taxes. Those taxes are going towards the school and things of that nature. We are going to get our money's worth. Now, I get it. Just turn your kid over and without even getting involved until something happens, that is a problem. But for households that don't have any other option, even a private school, just based on location, hours, et cetera, costs, things of that nature. If that school is the only school that they have, and property taxes and things are being paid, we got to get our money's worth. Some type of way, whichever it is, we have to, as Black Americans, have to step outside of the sunken place and start making the changes that we need and start making those things happen. So I'll just land right there. Oh, but please look at the Jumbotron, because earlier this morning, Trouble had posted something, and while these stories were being told, I was like, damn, this is everything that Trouble, is for the image that Trouble was talking about. So look in the Jumbotron. I posted it, but it's actually posted off the Trouble's page. All right, I'm in.
All right. Thank you, Mel. Let me go ahead and get back to Little Bear. Little Bear, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Yeah, thanks. Okay, I was just going to say here, or I should say in Kansas, in that area, the Midwest, Missouri, no matter where you are, the greater metropolitan area, out to the outskirts of Lawrence, Wichita, whatever, you cannot run from white people here. They are all over. There is no, desegregating here. So I'm not sure, like what communities, you grew up in. Maybe it's predominantly Black, but this is not like, Atlanta. This is not like, the Black Mecca, of the world. So it's not. And then as far as the homeschooling thing, both of my parents had to work. Bills had to be paid. We didn't, my mom didn't have the luxury of hiring a tutor or staying at home and not, paying her portion to ensure that we had a certain standard of living. So, no, I don't think any parent necessarily wants to put their child in, in a dangerous, situation or something that's adversary, to them. But, it is definitely just a different culture, here in this Midwest and the way that we live. We have to integrate. There's no running from white folks here. You have to kind of, quote unquote, learn their language and be able to acclimate to survive.
Thank you, Lil Bear. I appreciate that. I definitely, and I feel what Black Majority State was saying as well too. When you have a child and they having to go to a hostile place like that day in and day out. But I also understand what you're saying as well too. And I think DJ he had a statistic he pulled up in one of those areas or something like the population was 1.5 or 1.6% Black.
That's what I was going to say. The overall Kansas is only about 5.6% Black. So if you're scattered throughout Kansas, you're only less than 1% of that community, county or whatever, school district, whatever it may be. Hey, no taxation says she can't hear you. And Mel, hopefully you can hear me. When you talk, you go out. So I guess Tax, you having the same problem. You might have to check for updates and restart your phone if you can hear me.
Yeah, I can hear everybody fine, and you're right. That's Tornado Alley. So you're talking about places that's been the Plains region and everything. That's really lily white. If we're being honest about it.
81.4% white.
Oh yeah.
And look, check this out. The middle race, or the second most highest, is 6.12% of two or more races. So that's like Black and white, more or less, give or take. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we're the third most population that's if you're straight Black. Asians 3%, Native Americans 0.74%, other races 3%. Native Hawaiian Pacific Islands is 0.07%. So Kansas is pretty much white.
But let me say this. Let me say this real quick too. And I understand what Lil Bear is saying as well too. That you have to work. And I know a lot of times people say, well, sometimes you don't know the situation with people's work schedules. You don't know the transportation they may have. You may have a family split in one car or something like that. The husband or wife might work on the other side of town. Like you say, you may not be able to homeschool because, depending on the district and how everything is set up, you may have to have a parent home with that child or whatever. So I don't really know exactly how a lot of this stuff works. Maybe that was the only alternative. I don't know how far another school was from that area or whatever. So, the best thing would be to go ahead and put that child in another school, find them another school or whatever. But from what we're hearing in the space and stuff like that. But we're hearing about the area, Kansas and stuff. Let's be for real. These areas and stuff too have been notorious clans areas. From the time that the clan actually became, an actual membership. So who's to say that if you put them in a school next over whatever that school's not just as bad or whatever? But I understand. I feel both what Black is saying and I feel what Lil Bear is saying as well too. But like I said, it's not the easiest thing when you got people that have to work 8 to 5. And you know what I'm saying, the transportation, how to get a child from to and from. If the child's out of that district, well, even the bus come and pick them up, or the child to catch the city bus. So it just all depends on exactly how things can work out as well too. At the same time, I will say the parent, if the child was having issues like that, and you're gonna keep them at that school, then you need to make your presence felt at that school, and you need to do everything you can to go ahead and make sure that nobody, not only your child, but other Black kids at that school, feel safe walking into the school as well too. So if you're gonna keep them at that school, you need to form some kind of like a Black parent group where y'all go out there and you let the teachers and the supervisor and the superintendents and everybody else know in that area, the assistant principals, everybody, let them know like, hey, what's going to be tolerated and what's not going to be tolerated. And we hear about this. One good thing now, like I said, the Kansas City Defender, they published this story, whatever. So a lot of these Black people in that area now, they need to go ahead and for everybody in the space, go ahead and follow the Kansas City Defender as well too. That's one of our curation sites. Go ahead and follow them. And now at least you have a actual place that you can actually go ahead and report this stuff to, and you can get it out there. This is a bad look for that school. This is a bad look for that district. It's a bad look for the county. It's a bad look for a lot of people out there. And they need to go ahead and we're spreading the story as much as possible. That video they had was seen by over 1 million people. So that story is going viral. People know about it. We talking about it. We're gonna keep talking about it. Guys, it's up in the Jumbotron, I think on the far right hand side, the second on the right. So definitely go ahead, get up in the Jumbotron. Even if you know about it, you heard me read it, and just retweet it out. Just simply go ahead and retweet it out, and that helps as well too. So definitely, yeah, guys, we definitely got to stay up on this stuff as well too. Let me go ahead and get to I guess Black Pressure might be. Is it your turn, Black Pressure? Go ahead, Black Pressure.
Hey, what up, News?
What's up?
What's up, Black fam? So look, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna go a little bit over my little 2 minutes I usually use when I come up and speak. So, and I apologize, man. I read to everybody. I had some minor dental work today, and the right side of my face is still a little swollen. So I apologize if I come off a little muffled. But check this out. I was born and raised in a town called Beaumont, Texas. So I'm going to give you a little layout of Beaumont, right? Beaumont is, if you're on Interstate 10, Beaumont is an hour east of Houston, right? Beaumont is 45 minutes south of a real small town called Jasper, Texas. Everybody's familiar with it. That's where James Byrd Jr. was tied up and drugged behind a truck until he was dismembered. Everybody should know that story. Like I say, that town is 45 minutes north of me. 10 minutes east of me is a notorious sundown town called Vidor, Texas. It starts with a V, right? You can YouTube Vidor, Texas, and find out everything you want to know. So I am telling you, I am from a hotbed of racism. That's the town I was born in. But the one thing that kind of does, the one thing that's in my corner is Beaumont has 2 black enclaves, the north side and the south side, and it has a rich history in the civil rights movement. Very prominent black people, even still to this day. Of course, all the people involved in the civil rights movement are dead, but their children, grandchildren, all that, they still live in those areas. So I'm going to offer I would say the antithesis of most of these stories that you've heard today. So same thing though, same racism. I was born in 1979, so I was in 84. I was in kindergarten, right? Same thing, like like Trouble and No Taxation said. When I started school, it was nigga this, nigga that. I mean, these kids were 5 and had already, of course, they learned that from their parents. These kids were 5 years old and they were already speaking like that. But like I say, my testimony is the antithesis of what you heard today. So when it happened to me, and news, I bullshit you not, I used to bust them white boys in their mouth I was like, bam, nose bleed, mouth bleed. They take out running to the teacher. Teacher come, what did you do? Why did you do that? Say he called me a nigga. And see, the thing about me, like I say, my story is the opposite. I knew good and well. When they called my mom and I told them what happened, my mom and dad was coming up there. And guess what? I knew I wasn't going to be in trouble. I knew, I swear to God. It was every month I used to bust one of them white boys in their mouth. Bye. I'm talking about not no holding back, no jab, no nothing. I'm talking about straight right hand in the mouth. Run to the teacher. The teacher would be like, oh, Jared, just you sit right here. But one of those, like I say, from the town that I'm from, has rich history in the civil rights movement. The white teachers were smart. They would never send me to the office or suspend me or anything because they knew what was going to happen. They knew my parents were coming up. You're not going to tell your story to them. The first time I say nigga, my parents going to be like, my son going to be in school tomorrow. Because they would try that, oh, and we'll just send him home for the rest of the day. My mom and dad said, nah, you ain't sending him home, period. He's not going to miss 1 second of school. They knew that. And they knew the politics that was going to go behind that, because my parents would they'd be quick to go to the news, they'd be quick to go to the school board, all that. They knew the attention that it would get. The school district didn't want that, but I literally, it took me about, I'd say maybe 3-4 times these bust white boys in their mouth. I was Don Corleone when I walked in that school. I was the maybe 10 black kids in that whole school. And I literally was like a mob boss when I walked to the school, and all I had to do was make an example out of 3 or 4 of them, and that was it. Like those stories like Trouble ass, like getting bullied and getting bullied and getting harassed and being scared, that was never me. I dared one of them son of a bitches. And like I said, it didn't take long to get around school. You say nigga to him, your shit was gone. And that's how I was. But
try not to curse, Pressure, but go ahead.
You say what?
Say try not to curse too much.
But you know this topic though, man.
I know, but YouTube be coming out. YouTube is something else. But go ahead, you got it though.
Yeah, I get messages from them all the time. But Black Majority took all my talking points. I'm still pissed at him because I was going to say the same exact thing he had. This is me now as a 44-year-old man looking back. I actually was born in an all-black neighborhood, and the school I went to, my mom used my grandmother's address so I can go to that all-white school. Now, like I say, this is me looking back as a 44-year-old man. My mom and dad, they were wrong. But like Black Majority said, my parents are, I guess, the end of the baby boomers. So that's how they were socialized. They thought I would get a better education at a white school. But like Black Majority said, you look back at that and the tyranny and the trauma and all that stuff that I had, a 5-year-old should have to go to school and be Mike Tyson every day. A child should go to school and learn and get along with everybody and not be in fear. But like I say, looking back, that whole generation, that's how they were socialized like that, to think that, you were in a better situation with the white people. And I'll beat up and listen.
Thank you, Pressure. And you from Texas, so I can imagine the type of rednecks you had to deal with out there. I'm here in Florida. I'm gonna be honest. I didn't actually start it because I went predominantly, born in black neighborhoods. I didn't go to a predominantly white school. I was about in the 7th grade, and I'm gonna be honest. Like them white cats, they like, and like I say, and the reason that Trouble and No Taxation And Lil Bad and them could say that because they're women, you know, that they were girls and stuff. But, you know, they knew what time it was, like you said, pressure, because I had to slap a couple of them myself, like straight up. Like, you know, one white cat spit on me, and I grabbed this dude by the head on the bus and just jerked him around. Like, I mean, so it wouldn't even, they had to go get kids in high school and stuff like that. They brothers and stuff to deal with me and stuff when I was in middle school. So I'm definitely feeling what you said, because my dad, he was one of the first classes to graduate. I think he was the first class to graduate. He was the first integrated class at his high school that you know, to graduate. And him and my uncle and stuff, like, I heard stories. Him and my uncle went out there. You know, they were just, you know, it was just bombs over Baghdad. Like when they was acting up out there, you know, they was G checking folks in the early 70s and stuff like that. So it was none of that. Like straight up.
And one more thing, those two, to touch on what Sister Trouble said. I'm serious, and I'm not being disrespectful or condescending or anything, but my mind cannot imagine. And this is personal testimony, Pete. This is my peer group that I grew up with, people I know personally. My mind won't even allow me to attempt to understand that a black boy being scared of white dudes. That was unheard of. That is unheard of to me. Even back when we were young, that would have never happened.
Yeah, because like straight up, like, yeah, I went to school with some hard white boys. You couldn't tell them they wasn't hard, but they started talking all that, what they gonna do. I straight up tell them we can shake something right now. Like, this.
And that's how it was. See what you want to do.
Yeah, it wasn't because, you know, we, like you said, your parents, baby boomers, you and me, we were on the same age, so we coming up from that era too. Like, hey, like we ain't sitting up here, we ain't marching, and this ain't no nonviolent movement. Like, a lot of times you kind of had to like calm yourself down out there. Like, what you said? Like, it was none of that. But like I said, I can understand, because they sisters, that you know, they're women and stuff like that. And especially Trouble, she said she was at a school, and I couldn't imagine being at an elementary school and it was all white school and this and that or whatever. So like I said, I grew up around fighting black kids. As a matter of fact, that's how I think I ended up we end up getting into the school I was in, because I ended up in middle school in 6th grade. I got suspended a couple times from fighting and stuff. And this was this was a hard black school or whatever. So, you know, my mom and dad was like, well, you know, maybe a change of scenery would do you better. And then, you know, as soon as I got out there, I got into the white school. Like, in the first 9 weeks, I ended up getting suspended for slapping a white boy around, because he kept following me, saying stupid stuff or whatever. So, you know, like, even the change of scenery, the same thing happened. But yeah, we grew up thumping with black dudes and stuff like that. So, you know, to sit up here
and I swear, man, I'm looking back now as a grown man. At 7, 8 years old, the pride it gave me to walk in that school. And I swear I was no less than Al Capone when I would walk in that school. They're like, hey man, you want something? You want my cookies? You want this? Yeah, we're cool, man. We're cool. I wasn't playing with them dudes. I feel so sorry for Trouble and No Tax and all the other sisters that to walk in school and be in fear, even if, you know, it was only when people harass you. I don't have that testimony. I don't. I'm going through. Even, you know, to this day, I'm older now. You know, like I always say, I've been lifting weights for almost 23 years now. So you could just imagine, I don't have issues with people. But even right now, you see all these, you know, the social media clips where white people, nigga. I'm serious. Right now, at my age, at 44 years old, I'm gonna do you something wrong if you do that to me, man. And I thank God that doesn't happen to me. But like I said, I'll mute up and listen.
Yeah, I mean, I feel you on that. Like I say, and I understand where they're coming from as well too. Especially when you got to talk about little girls in elementary school, and you're out of it, you're around people that don't look like you and stuff like that. So I can understand exactly how they're talking about how they feel. Like I say, when I came on to the school I went to, I had grown up playing football and was around none but black dudes and stuff like that. And then you start hearing the stories from your dad and your uncles in the 70s, how they had to thump and how they had to set things straight. So you like, hey, you like first one of these cats that act up, they're gonna get spanked on out here, like straight up. Like, so it wasn't even that mindset wasn't even going down. And I mean, even we was cool with a lot of the Hispanics too as well too, but a lot of them, you know, felt a certain way, and you had to tell them to like, hey, I don't care how y'all do it up in New York. You in Florida now, so however you think that y'all handle Negroes up there in the Big Apple, I can assure you it's a whole different story down here, bro. So if you want to shake something too, we can shake it as well. Ain't no Kool-Aid pumping in our hearts over here. Let me go ahead and get to
Oh hell no! From over north now, 'cause we ain't play that.
I got-
Saying? We used to be these white boys have to death. Go ahead though.
I got Reraw up and I got the international international show as well too. So I'm gonna go ahead and get to them. Reraw, how you doing tonight?
Hey, Newstoter, how are you?
Oh, I'm doing good.
Not gonna say that this space tonight is not triggering, but I was triggered when I seen the clip. Like, it just seems like every black girl's first experience in fighting is a white boy. My first experience in fighting was a white boy. I lit into his ass. I was probably about fourth grade, third grade. I lit into his ass. He was doing windmills, and I was ducking and dodging him. I came back up with that uppercut. He had a black guy and a busted nose by the time I got done with that. But we both got suspended. This was in Colorado. And Colorado is a really racist place too. The second time I got into it, I had called myself having a white friend because there wasn't no black people around. So he all the time going bike rides and all kinds of stuff. It was cool. And I got into it at the bus stop with all these white boys, like 8 white boys surrounded me. And they was yelling and screaming at me, faces red as hell. Like, I thought I was going to get jumped. I looked into the goddamn crowd and my fucking friend, sorry for messing.
That's the devil. That's the devil. That's the devil. We'll go ahead.
Oh, yeah. And was in the crowd yelling, acting like they was going to attack me. There's no safe spaces for us when it comes to these white men. They really feel like they have the right to do to us whatever they want to do. I don't think that it's that the black dudes were scared. I think that for the most part, it's the consequences that come with it. You know, I don't think that any of us are scared at this point. It's just the consequences that come with it. You know, stand your ground. Okay, this white boy come at me, I'm going to shoot him in his fucking face. I'm sorry. Oh, gosh, I'm sorry. This white dude comes at me, I'm going to shoot him in his face. But I'm going to jail. You can look at a white person and they can stand their ground and shoot you and say they were scared, and they're not serving no time. It's the consequences, the lack of consequences, I should say, that is probably stopping us even to this point to really getting in their butts, you know. And I just wanted to say to Trouble and to Taxation and to everybody who came up here with the testimony, even you too, Newstoter, I'm sorry you guys had to go through that. I'm sorry I had to go through that because it is traumatizing and it does follow you into your adult life. And it's really unfortunate. We shouldn't have to go through that because we black. Like, just because we black, make that make sense. As far as what happened at the school, I absolutely sent an email and I absolutely been calling that school because it just has to stop. I understand that people think that we're progressing, but hearing these stories, we got stories coming from the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s. Ain't nothing changed. These teachers are still the same. If anything, it's getting worse. They're not hiring black teachers anymore like that. We don't have a really big black community. You know, I mean, I not in Washington. There's not no black community out here. My nieces are in white. My niece is in a white school. And I fear for her all the time, but I'm like, I'm about to pull her out of that. Pull her out of it because at this point, it's not even the racism. They racist, but she hasn't really gone through anything. But it's the other stuff they're trying to teach in school that's got me like, I need to pull her out. And that's white supremacy too. You're allowed to teach my children that they should be masturbating. It's a lot. You know, you don't have a right to teach my children about masturbating. And you damn sure don't have the right to let these white children terrorize any child at school. So I'll land there, and I appreciate everybody's testimony, and thank you for listening to mine. Peace out.
Thank you. Real quick, I want to give a shout out because we have the Kansas City Defender. They came over actually on the YouTube channel Says, thank you for covering the story here in Kansas City. Thank you, my pleasure. Thank you for being a curation partner with Newstoter.com. Thank you so much for bringing this story to the mainstream media's attention. We will continue to try to put this story out there as much as possible. Hopefully some of the bigger black media channels also will take this up and spread this even more so, and make CNN and the rest of them, even though they're talking about it anyways. They didn't want to talk about it, but they're talking about it, but keep it up there. So it'll be on the CBS Evening News, NBC News, ABC News, and all the rest of them as well too. So thank you to the Kansas City Defender. You guys make sure you go ahead and follow them. Like I say, follow them on all their social media platforms. Follow them here on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, the whole nine, guys. Go ahead and support. That is black media. That is a black-owned newspaper. When I told you that Newstoter.com is a curator for lots of black-owned news websites, that's what I'm talking about right there. That was a great piece that they did, and they brought so much attention to it. So thank them so much. We greatly appreciate it, guys. We greatly appreciate it. Let me go ahead. And also real quick, guys, we've been going for about almost 2 hours. I know, because we won't be back until Monday, I know we can get at least one person in the space to donate $1 on Cash App to the largest black-owned Black American news media curation platform. You ain't got to be a lot, but if you got $1 that you can donate, it's greatly appreciated. To go to the web hosting this month, the email hosting, and all the other good stuff as well too. So if you got $1, $Newstoter, $Newstoter. If you do not have Cash App, if you have the PayPal or Venmo, we had that up in the Jumbotron. Same for our folks on YouTube. We have all of that in the actual description, and the Cash App is on the actual broadcast. We definitely we survive solely because of the generosity of our actual people as well too. So any amount that you guys got, if it's $1 and you can donate it, it is greatly appreciated. Let me go ahead and get to the international show. What's going on? It's been a little minute since you've been in here. I'm glad to have you up in here though. Yeah, we can hear you. Sound a little bit far off though.
Get off your Bluetooth, bro. I don't know if you want a Bluetooth.
Yeah, it sounds like you might be on a Bluetooth.
Okay, you know what I'll do? I'll drop down and I'll come back in about, I hope you guys still on another 21st minute.
Okay, we're gonna try to be on. I ain't gonna make no promises, but we'll try to be on. But go ahead and do what you got to do. Get those groceries out the way, and we'll be here, man. If we hear. If not, we'll catch you next time, but definitely appreciate you coming through. Let me go ahead real quick, guys, and give a shout out to No Taxation and to Black Pressure for always, as always, two big supporters. Let me give a shout out to Miss Alyssa as well, too. She supports the platform as well, too. So shout out to all you guys supporting tonight. It is greatly appreciated, and it will be put to use as always. Let me go ahead, and we got No Taxation up here. No Taxation, go ahead. DJ, hold it down 1 second for me.
What's up?
Hey, DJ. Something else that I wanted to touch on for that area that Lil Bear started it, and then Trouble came in and said something, and I failed to say anything, not because I didn't want to say anything, but because I had forgotten. Okay. But Lil Bear and Trouble both alluded and spoke to the fact that these people in that area, them white folks, them white kids in that area, do drugs. Okay? I'm talking about illicit drugs. We're not talking about smoking weed. We ain't talking about that. Okay? They do illicit drugs. And they were doing it when I was there. Okay? In fact, the police department this is back in the day. I don't know what's going on there now because I haven't been there since, a child. Back in the day, the police department was right across the avenue. It was a thoroughfare from Shawnee Mission West. Now we talking about Overland Park now, which neighbors Shawnee Mission East and Shawnee, the city and the county. Now there was an abandoned house on the other side of the street, not on the crossing the avenue. But if you just go on a regular side street, there was an abandoned house over there, and it sit on top of a little hill. These folks, these white boys and girls, were so coddled by white America and the white society there that they would do drugs in that house sitting on the hill when it was nice outside, and they would sell drugs over there too. Now this is right across from the police station, catty corner across the street from the police station, and the police never did a thing about it the whole time I was there. Okay, the whole time. I think we lived there 3 or 4 years, something like that. It wasn't a long period of time, but it was, enough for me to get the lay of the land. And in fact, without me really telling on myself, because I live in New York now, and marijuana, cannabis is legal. But that's how I learned how to break down a pound, was from them white boys over there in Shawnee Mission West. Okay? And even in the junior high. So, and one thing I wanted to speak to what Black said, the other thing is not all Black folks wanted to sit next to white folks. I didn't come from that. And I didn't know anybody who, in the movement, my parents were in the movement, of course. I didn't know anybody who hung out with my parents and who my parents hung out with. And the Black elders in my purview, none of them said anything about that. They said white folks can't tell us where we can and cannot go. And to prove it, we're going to go anywhere where we want to go. And that includes wherever they are. If we want to be over there, we can go. So that's what it was about for my family and for the people that they knew that were in the movement, fighting for what some people call desegregation, but it had nothing to do with desegregation. It had everything to do with white folks can't tell me where I can and cannot go. And that still should hold true for us today. White folks should not be telling us where we can and cannot go. Now let's take it a step further. My father he wasn't even allowed over there. I was the first one over there going to their schools and living in Overland Park, my family. Now I'm grown, married, been all over the world. I come back to the United States and go to Florida in the Panhandle, a place called Niceville, Florida. I hope News is listening, because he know what I'm getting ready to say.
Yeah, Niceville is full of rednecks, but go ahead. Yeah, okay. Niceville is full of rednecks, but go ahead.
I knew you was going to say it. And me not knowing anything about Florida, Niceville, Florida, there's a beach there. Like, who don't want to go there? It's called Niceville, for God's sakes. You would think it was going to be nice. One of the worst places in America for racism. My son goes to the school. He gets called a nigger. He ignores it the first time because he was taught not to fight in the school. Now, whatever he did outside of the school, they ain't got nothing to do with it. But in the school and on school grounds, you do not fight. Okay? That was the rule I had. So he told the boy he'd meet him after school. The white boy decided he didn't want to wait till after school. He wanted to be around his friends, and they called him a nigger again. Well, my son snapped and beat him down to the ground in the lunchroom. And it was all in the paper and all that kind of stuff. And made my son look like a demon, but they didn't say his name because, they was trying real hard because they knew I was a rabble rouser, So they weren't going to say his name, but I knew they was talking about my son, about dangerous young Black boys in the neighborhood and going to the school and like that. And beating up on the white kids like that. Never saying that the white boy called my son a nigger and started it. Okay? So you see, what I'm trying to say is, this is why we fight for reparations. This is why we fight. Because my daddy experienced it. And my grandmother, she was in Louisiana. They told her black, they had the white train and the black train, and the black train didn't have no air conditioning, but the white train had fans. And so my grandmother on my daddy's side out in Louisiana, she took my daddy and his brother and sister, and she got on the white train car with the fans in it. And the people told her to get off and get into the black one. She got to get into the black train car. She told them she's not getting there. See, so some of us in the movement, we've had a long history of white folks can't tell us what to do. And we've got to continue that. We have to keep that. They cannot tell us what to do. We're Americans now. And we have to snatch our citizenship. And that's what's going to have to happen with that little girl down there. And I understand that down there in Kansas, and I understand that the kids done had to walk out and did what they had to do to have a show of force. Let me tell you something. Times have changed enough for the white kids and the black kids to get together and say, not in my neighborhood and not in my school, you won't be doing this, and put that little girl back in school. They were marching for her. So, it's all about what King said, because I learned about King after I got well into my 40s. When you get old, that's what you do, is try to find peace, And because I told y'all I used to go see Malcolm and not Martin. But, that's what we have to do. We have to make sure that we're on the forefront of all of this for these kids to be able to understand this is why we fight. And this is why we need reparations. Just an economic repair for us in this country to close the racial wealth gap would stop a lot of that mess that's going on in these schools about racism. Believe it. Because now everybody's on equal ground economically. What you gonna do? See? And so times are changing. It's slow. It's hard. And it's tiresome. But they are changing because they have to change. White folks can't tell black folks what to do anymore, and they can't be attacking our children and breaking their nose or calling the police on them or any other thing that they're doing out here. And I'm going to leave it there.
Thank you, No Taxation. RCD1 Diva, I know you came up here. I know you don't have your hand up. If you want to speak, you can raise your hand. Let us know. I don't know if you're just chilling up here. Xander, what's going on as well too? I know you up here, so if you guys want to speak up here, if you're speaking and you want to speak, just go ahead and raise your hand so we can know, and we'll get to you guys definitely as well too. Let me go ahead and get back to Trouble. Trouble, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Hey, just right quick, I wanted to respond to something Black Pressure has said. But yeah, Xander been waving that little white hand the whole while, so I didn't know if he had wanted to speak or not. But Black Pressure had made a statement about the fellas that was in school and why they wouldn't fight back. You have to understand that during that time frame, like I said, a lot of the people I felt like were selected to be in a particular school, and they knew exactly which kids from which neighborhoods were being sent to what schools, and you went to the same schools from your elementary, and then you were bused to the junior high that was in that same area. So we all went to school together. What I noticed is, because my cousins, my 4 male cousins, they stayed in a different neighborhood from me, but they went to a predominantly black school. It was nothing but black kids at their school, and maybe a handful of whites. Our experiences in Wichita, Kansas, is totally different from each other. We don't understand each other when it comes to even race relations today, because they deal with white folks and I don't on that level. The boys that were in my school were what we would consider the non-threatening Negroes. And I ain't trying to be funny, but a lot of them were light skinned. So I mean, they didn't have those. They didn't have the field Negroes up in the schoolhouses that I went to. They didn't have those there. What they had was the young men who were more preppy in their ways, and maybe because that's how that was the culture of the school and how they wanted you to be. I mean, for God's sakes, we did square dancing in my school. I didn't really learn how to dance like a black girl till I joined the drill team, because in my school we did square dancing, and that was fun for me. It was fun. I wanted to do clogging and square dancing and stuff like that, even though I lived in a black neighborhood, but I thought I was some kind of ballerina. That's how I danced for a long so it's the culture in which you live in. And you're talking about stoner gangs, who was the predominant gangs in schools, because for a long time we didn't have black gangs in town like that. We had gangs as far as, you knew the names and the Crips, the Bloods, the whatever, but they weren't banging hard like that. We didn't really hear about them. What we heard about mostly, especially us going to these white schools, were the white gang members. These stoner boys, they walked around, and the whole stoner boys and girl cliques, they walked around in their black makeup, their black hair, their black fingernail polish, their black coats, trench coats, leather trench coats. They looked dangerous. We knew that they would slip a knife out on you, and we knew that they would get you in the alley and pull a gun out on you because they had done that before. They'd had a reputation. So it was a sense of pumping fear before it actually was able to be in your face, before you actually had to deal with it. I think for me, by the time I got to the 7th grade, because I started towards the tail end of my 3rd grade tearing tail out the frame, it got good to me. So by the time I hit the 7th grade, I was ready. I was ready. He, him, her, she, he, it, whatever. As soon as you slighted me, I was ready. And unfortunately, it wasn't a lot of other kids who was in that zone that was being messed with. I was the skinniest girl out of everybody. I was an easy target. And so nobody was being picked on necessarily like that, but me, from some of the white students. And even, like I said, by the time I got to the 7th grade, I wasn't getting picked on. I was pretty much the one that was, doing the intimidating at that point, but I was taking no action. And because you are that type of, take no mess from people type of person, that was intimidating to the stoners. And so that made me another open target. Because here you are, this little skinny girl with all of this mouth. I want to see what you're about. And I don't know why they wanted to see what I was about, because they often got their tail toe out the frame every single time they tried it. But, just to respond back to you as far as saying, well, a lot of black guys wouldn't have been scared. Well, that's because you have your crowd of Negroes around other Negroes 24/7. But these particular males that I went to school with, they came out of the middle class neighborhood, whereas some of us, came from the projects, or what they considered to be the projects, which weren't really the projects. They was just apartment that they ended up dealing with a bunch of, hood-minded folks, So not everybody in those projects got to go to these schools. You had to live in a certain area. So there that was that. And now, to Black's point, there was many times I struggled with trying to figure out if I should move my family, because I left at 18 and I ain't never been back home. I ain't never been back home. I've wanted to go back home to visit, but like the picture I posted on my timeline with the girl looking in the mirror at her younger self, and her younger self is screaming, it's so much trauma associated with home, till it's a struggle for me wanting to be back there. And I even I considered moving my kids back there for educational purposes, even though I had the experience I did, just because the education that I gained from the school system was far more superior than it is here in the South. But my husband had said if that was a move that I had made with the experience that I had with the white folks that he'd heard me talk about, and the gangs that I ran into when I got to a particular age, that wasn't something that he was getting ready to do, nor allow me to do with our children. it was a struggle for me because that was a time, this is about 5-6 years ago, and not too long after my sister passed, and I just really wanted to be around people that I grew up with that knew me, just to feel that familiarity, that family, because that was my family. The Midwest, Kansas, is full of people who not originally from Kansas. It's from black. It's a lot of Wichita is a large portion of black folks down in Wichita, and they come from all over the United States. They come from all over the area, and that was what was so wonderful about living in that town, is those people that I surrounded myself with. It's just the racism that you had to go through. So yeah, I kind of struggled with that. So when you say, why would a mother put, herself in that, her children in that position, for a moment, and I kind of felt a little slightly embarrassed when you said it, because I knew for a moment I had considered doing that, just because I wanted my children to have a better education, but was trying to figure out how I was going to get them a better education like I had when I was growing up, without the racism that I had to go through. How I was going to get my kids to have that familiar family like love with the people, because that's, when you grow up with the people I grew up with, you don't need family. I didn't grow up around none of my family like that. Those people were my family. And so how do I give that to my kids without introducing them to games? And then after a while of sitting back thinking about it, and my husband being like, nah, that ain't something we get ready to do. It wasn't a possibility or something that I was able to do. And I eventually came to say maybe that wasn't the best, solution that I was coming up with in my mind. But I think at that time frame, it was the hurt from losing my sister and trying to build, trying to find family, trying to find some type of love in this world when you're kind of out here feeling by yourself. So, like I said, Wichita is just, the whole state of Kansas is systemic, like this country. It's systemic, and we are separated from state to state. We're scattered, and it would seem like it would be better, but I think all of our experiences combined, I think at this point in time, we should all be able to come up with some solutions to, make things a little bit better. And I'm so sorry that the little girl had to go through what she did. I would be hopeful that the state of Kansas would have made some changes in the time in which I've been gone, but I see that, some things change, and other things, especially the system of racism, white supremacy, just remains the same, I land.
All right. Thank you, Trouble. Let me go ahead and get to a black majority state, and then I got you, Black Pressure.
Okay. So man, shout out to Miss Trouble. She's a monster. She's a beast, right? Because some people would have lived in that trauma and shrunk in the trauma and never really fought back. And so, I salute you for absolutely defending yourself and ultimately, becoming the person who was handing out the drama in a sense, because it was probably required in that situation. Kansas was the target for the exodusters coming out of the South. After Reconstruction started to fall apart, it was one of our big movements. It was one of our migration movements, one of the first into Kansas. Nicodemus, Kansas is the one town that people often highlight. I missed no taxation, clarified, the different five, because obviously there was MLK and there was MX or MLX, I like to call them, Malcolm Little X, and they were on sort of opposite ends of where Black Americans could go, and obviously the path that we took as a collective, even though we probably were forced into integration, was this: we're gonna sit next to the white people, we're gonna eat where they eat, shop in their stores, we're gonna essentially kill Black business, and give all our money to the white people, right? But I like the thought of, no, we're going to go wherever we want to, regardless of what white people say, think, or do. And that is sort of a revolutionary standpoint, and it's a revolutionary thought. But it also, there's a part of me where it sounds like I'm looking for a certain amount of acknowledgement, and because I'm seeking acknowledgement, I want to show the oppressor, hey, look at me, I can do this, I can do that, right? And that may not be the intention, but that's the way that I'm going to look at it, because what I have to say is, what is the value in that? What does that bring to the individual and the collective to simply say, I'm going to thumb my nose in your, I'm going to pick my finger in your eye, I'm going to poke the bear, and I am here now. Witness my greatness. What is the ultimate value in that? Is the question. Because for me, to be quite honest, I just, I think it makes you feel good. I remember as a younger person with my sister, love my sister to death. She's going to be going into surgery soon. She's got like shoes. But me, her and her, this was her husband, to the city, into these white shops. Like, I mean, I'm talking about way out in the country, flea markets and, whatever, supermarkets, places where they sell chicken, yada, yada, yada. Way out, I mean, an hour outside the city, and we're surrounded by white people. And and at the time, I never understood it, but I think in my mind, I probably calculated that they think the white water is wetter. They think the white ice is colder, right? Even as a kid, I'm thinking, like, what are we doing here? Like, what's going on? I just think that's an outward expression of trauma, and an outward desire to, in one way, shape, or form, get like a one-upsmanship over this oppressor. I don't know that it's a tangible, benefit and or transference of some actual power or authority or wealth or anything that really would be concrete for me, if I was thinking in that mode, to then pass down to successive generations. I just wonder if some of the things that we've done, if generations in the future will look back at it and say, this was very interesting. Let's study this part of Black American history to try to understand what they were thinking and how they were coping with the environment that they were existing in. And I salute all those, because I mean, we have some real Black liberationists who really, really, really were putting in real work, real liberation, hijacking planes, robbing banks, shooting police officers, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That part of our history doesn't get talked about enough. It should be taught. It should be taught in schools, to be quite honest. For me, again, we're slowly walking into 2024. I just want to see things that actually mean more than just a feeling and actually are transferable for me. You know what I mean? So I respect and understand the way people were thinking 40, 50, 60 years ago. I just think we got to really start thinking about what's real, what really matters, what can we do that will create legacy that we can pass on to the next future generations, and not be so concerned about what these people think. Because at the end of the day, somewhere in the back of my mind, if I'm trying to show these people that I can do whatever I want to do, then I'm overly occupied by thinking what they think instead of really occupying my mind on what I should be thinking. And that's just the way I look at that. So I'll end on that.
All right. Thank you, Black Majority State. Let me go ahead and get to Black Pressure. Black Pressure, go ahead and unmute your mic.
I don't want to thank Black Majority for that segue. So I'm going to give a shout out to my father now. That and just want to let everybody know how important masculinity is. Now, when I was telling you those stories about how I dealt with the racism that I had to face, I have to give a shout out to my father. My father is the one that I credit with my willingness to defend myself and the as a child, the fearlessness that I had when I was in those situations, because I remember as a kid, my father took me outside. I had to be 8 years old. And I remember me going to my uncle's house, and my dad was like, "Hey, let me get them boxing gloves from." And I remember still the truck he had, what color it was, what it smelled like, everything. I remember he got the boxing gloves. He drove home, and he took me in the backyard. And when I say, I'm looking back now, of course, my father wasn't hitting me like he was hitting a grown man, but he taught me how to fight. My skill, the skill set that I had as an 8-year-old was advanced because my father taught me how to fight. But I remember my father, when he would hit me in my head, he wouldn't hit me with his fist. He'd hit me with his open palm. He'd hit me in the head. Keep your hands up. Don't drop your hand. Keep your hands up. You put your hands down again, I'm going to hit you in the head again. I'm sitting up here crying and snot. And my mom was like, leave that boy alone. I'm like, nah, I got it. I'm serious. My father would give me these body shots, and I'd drop to one knee. He'd be like, get up. I ain't hit you that hard. And I'm crying. And look at your feet. You put your feet that close together, somebody hit you, you're going to fall. And then, boy, he would take me in the back, and I thought he was the meanest SOB in the world. And, man, right now, at my age now, I thank him for everything he did. Because, like I say, when I went to school and that happened to me, bro, you think the what I took from my father, you think I was scared of some 8-year-old white boy? No way. But like I say, I'm looking back, and that masculinity was very important. Like I say, even to this day, the chip on my shoulder that I have and the attitude that I have and walking in places and situations and not thinking about being a victim and not thinking about someone harming me at 44 years old, that came from my father. And I'll mute up and listen.
All right. Thank you, Black Pressure. See, we got CC up here. CC, what's going on? Glad to have you up in the space. How you doing tonight?
Hey, man. Peace. Hey, peace, love, and reparations to you guys. Newstoter, I love your spaces, and I'm going to try to be on point. I came in so late, so I don't really know the topic.
Okay.
Read it real quick, because I was going to comment on what Gray King said, who I love. Do you want to tell me before I speak, or?
Yeah, I can give you a quick refresher. We're just talking about, I know you've seen the situation with the black girl that got her nose broke at the school and the hate crime by the white boy. So we're just talking about that situation. Apparently it's been a long documented history of a lot of racism going on at that school, and the actual administrators have just pretty much ignored it. So the kids, they did a walkout, they protest. They want the white boy that attacked the girl to be expelled. They want her to because they actually were supposed to suspended the girl and everything else as well too. They want certain administrators fired. Also, we were talking about the situation with the rapper Big Boy from Outkast. Well, he went into a store in Atlanta to buy some stuff, some beanies and a bouquet of flowers. And apparently him and the Asian cashier got into it because I guess the Asian cashier felt that he had purchased too much stuff. So allegedly he called the man Mr. Miyagi, and now they're trying to say that he called him a racial slur, and they started using examples of rappers and their lyrics about talking about Asians and saying that, basically rappers have had a lot of anti-Asian type lyrics over the past 10 years or so. So that's pretty much where we at, Connie.
Oh man, thank you. But
excuse me, Newstoter, I wanted to ask. I wanted to ask you to share her story, because the women had shared stories of their experience in school dealing with,
Hey, International, give me 1 second. Let me get her up here because I still hear a lot of background noise with you. Let me go ahead and get her, and then I'll get you.
I don't have a hand raising emoji.
Who said?
Everyone has a hand raised emoji.
Who said that?
If you
Xander?
click on the heart, the furthest hand all the way to the right is your hand raising emoji.
Okay, Xander, I'll get to you. I'm gonna get to you as well. I didn't know you were trying to raise your hand. I saw you. I thought you just was waving, but I'll get to you. Let me get to CC, and then I'll get to you guys as well too, since she's already started.
And just in case you guys don't know, real quick, the guy that just spoke, the international show off, Evil Tracy DJ. This guy is so talented. He travels with the international crew of what do you call them? Tracy DJs, but they're like scratchers, like old school scratchers, new school scratchers. He also protected me at the Power 106. He's a great person, great human. Peace, love, and reparations to you. Please follow him. He's got some great things about to come out. And I really hope that we can start pubbing each other like I'm doing him. We got to give each other love. All the people that are doing stellar things, that are being authentic, let's keep this love going. But back to Gray King. Gray King's my boy. But I came in late, and I may not get it right. So, give me some grace. I heard you talking about, how your sister took you around out to the country or wherever, to the white areas. And I've always struggled with that. My story, people who knew me from Clubhouse know me better. But I grew up around white people. And there's been people who've tried to attack me. Oh, you grew up around white people. You don't know blackness. Shut up. My family's black. Of course, I know blackness. Okay? But anyway, the one thing that I struggle with that Gray King said is I'm a separatist. I believe in nationalism. I believe in us being self-determinative. I believe in us completely moving apart. And I'm going to digress and then get back to Gray King. I've always wondered what it would be like if Gray King's proposal for us to move to, I'm not sure if it's 6 states or whatever. I don't think there can ever be a moment of peace with us as long as we're connected to whiteness, because they always renege on every treaty. If you study American history, white history, they renege on everything. They will never leave us alone. There will never be a trade agreement or anything that they will honor with us. I'm going to go get off that, get back to Gray King. I've always struggled with this thing. I noticed that people like me, some people didn't live in a white neighborhood, but were bused to white neighborhoods. Or for whatever reason, they had, they got a scholarship, whether it was elementary school, junior high, high school, whatever. Those of us that went around whiteness that aren't coons have a different viewpoint on life, because I think we got a viewpoint, a lens into whiteness that other people didn't get. And because of that, I can spot nuances, I think, I'm not sure. I think quicker than most people, right? Not sure, but I think so. But I think you have to study your enemy. And sometimes I get my scholars mixed up. So Dr. Claude Anderson or Neely Fuller Jr., don't quote me, one of these guys said, hey, where we're failing is in counterintelligence. You can never defeat an enemy if you don't know the enemy. Did you guys ever notice that everyone comes into our culture, our world, and they study us, right?
and they get together and they undermine us. And if you saw the video circulating today, there's a Nigerian chick that's saying, oh, I'm going to teach Africans, Nigerians, how to speak like Black Americans. Yeah, she threw in a compliment. You know, I always wanted to be a Black American. She did this janky accent of us. But people study us. I think it's very important that we study other people. No, I never liked being around white people. Even as a child, I had an innate ability to understand that it was unnatural. But I do think it's very important that we study them. I can't be friends with them. Never really have, right? But I think it's beyond important that we know who the enemy is. We understand their culture. But the problem is when you get close to the culture, what's the saying? Dance with the devil, you get burnt. So I don't think it's a great idea for us. I don't have children, but for those of you that have children, I don't think it's a great idea to raise your children in all white environments unless you're so pro-Black American Freedmen, FBA, DOAS, Native Black American, Negro, whatever you call yourself. But I do think we need to spend time understanding the enemy. And the one thing that I have learned, tell you guys a quick story. You know, I was having my little idyllic life in my little white neighborhood. And I was selling, do you guys remember World's Finest Candy? Anyway, I was selling World's Finest Candy. I went to a white Catholic school at that point in my life. And I knocked on these white people's door, this older couple. They'd always been beyond nice to me. And I knocked on the door, but their window was up. And believe it or not, I swear to God, their name was George and Martha Washington. So I knock on the door, and the wife said, you know, to her husband, who is it? He said, oh, it's the little nigger girl up from up the street. And I was just like, what? I think I was somewhere between 10 and 12. I don't remember. I was so stunned. I didn't quite get the import of the word nigger at that point, but I knew it was a slur, and I knew it was directed at me. That man opened up the door and said, hi, Connie. And he was so friendly and so nice. And I was just like stunned. And they bought the candy from me. I never spoke to them again. I think I didn't even deliver the candy back. I think I kept it. I'm a Capricorn. I got a little bit of ruthlessness in me. But I said all that to say, I really struggle with where we are today. You know, they're talking about the Palestinians living in an open-air prison. We live in an open-air prison. Yeah, we can travel. We can do this. We're not as controlled as them. But we can only do so much. We can only say so much. And now we're at a point in this movement. This is what I love about the movement. I promise I'll close after this. What I love about this movement is a lot of us are getting very bold, including myself. I'm putting myself at risk. I'm out in the public. I say things. You know, it limits my money. You know, it hinders me, right? And Great King spoke about this. What we're doing is revolutionary in a modern time. But I still think it's very, very important that we know what everyone is doing. And now that we realize, you know, people get upset when we say we have no new friends. And to the ADOS people in the room who think we don't give credit to Yvette Carnell or Tone, I got that from Yvette Carnell. We have no friends. Yvette Carnell got that from our scholars, though. So having said that, we have no friends. Since we have no friends, we have to figure out how to infiltrate everyone in the same manner that they're infiltrating us. So in closing, that's my contribution. Like I said, I came in on the back end. Might be off topic. Forgive me. Peace, love, and reparations. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Connie. Let me get to the international show, and I'm going to get to you also, Xander.
Hey, don't forget to speak to the situation about Big Boy. Don't forget about that, what y'all think about these Asians calling our brother a racist and a prejudice and all this other stuff.
Okay, everybody, I'm in a quiet place now. Can you all hear me?
Yes, we hear you much better.
Okay, I'm glad you're still on. Yeah. I'm glad that Connie got to speak because I really wanted her to tell her story. She has a couple stories about being attacked by these white boys. You know, we had 3 sisters that spoke earlier about that's from Kansas City that had an experience. And what I noticed is a couple of common denominators. And this is a perfect space to have, and I'm glad that it's being recorded because it speaks to our case for a crime bill that we can bring up later on as proof of people's experiences when we go to demand that we get a crime bill, because this stuff has been going on for decades. So, you know, I remember no taxation, and one of the other women had spoke and said something about being attacked by, like, all these women have experiences of being attacked by these coward white boys. They always attack women, they've always attacked children, and they always attack elderly. That's who they go after. They don't come after us unless they have the law or the military behind them. But they always target children and women and elderly. You know, I remember we used to get chased by grown ass, pardon my language, but grown men as children trying to catch us for whatever they want to try to do, but they used to chase us. But when we became of age, that junk stopped. You know, but I know that the other common denominator that we have is the fact that she had just mentioned it, that the people who are the most warriors in this situation are the people who had the experience of going to school with white folks. You know, I find myself arguing a lot with, like, family members and friends that always been in a black school, had little experience with white folks, so they just lost. But the people who are, you know, there's 2 types of people that went to school with white folks, and
you're one of them.
Yeah. There's two types of people, and I'm one of them exactly. But there's the clown that just think that they love us and they don't know any better. And then there's people like us that had the experience where we had to fight these people and deal with the racism and deal with the teachers that allowed them to do what they do and didn't punish them, but would punish us. That stuck with us, and that's why we became the warriors that we became. Everybody that I know, you know, that I talk to and hear experiences online, from Tariq to Connie to these 3 sisters that just spoke, have all had that same experience. So if it's that common, it must be something that goes on a lot. It's still going on to this day, as we see with this little girl that's got attacked, that she gets suspended. I was so outraged by that. I immediately said, "What is the number to the school? Because I want to call the school up." I still don't have the number to that school. But yeah, we have to protect our children. We have to protect our women and our elderly. You know, we have to protect them from these cowards. And you know, I'm not one of those people that would say I don't advocate violence. No, like, I'm going to defend myself and I'm going to defend the people around me. You'll never hear the words come out of my mouth. I'm not going to target. I'm not going to say let's go and do something. But I will protect. And I'll land there.
All right. Thank you, International. Let me go ahead and get to Xander. Xander, go ahead and unmute your mic.
All right, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
And by the way, I don't have a hand raise emoji. That's the best that I got right there. Now, one thing that I'm grateful of is that I experienced racism at 5 years old. What that did was it actually helped to save me a bunch of BS later on in life. Because one thing Black Americans have to understand is, like, when you're in America, forget about them calling you somebody, calling that girl a nigger. They call you a nigger every day in society. The school you go to is probably named after a slave master. When they teach you about history, they talk about how you started off not knowing anything, and somehow these white folks who hate your guts civilized you. Now, would like to tell, especially a lot of black females, some things are called chicken ear situations. When this girl, she sees that she's basically by herself and a white male is calling her names, you don't turn around and confront this dude unless you can kill him on the spot. That's how you do that. If you can't do that, so if you can't do that, don't do that. Wait till you get the odds in your favor. Now, but since everybody knows who this person is now, like I said, he should have price tags on his head. That couldn't have happened back in my, because see, I grew up in the Midwest my damn self. And one thing that we never had was nothing like that to happen, because it was going, like I say, they'll get mad at another black person after buying 9 pounds of weed from them and they get shorted a gram. But here, this dude is just punched. Probably, I know she hasn't had male relative just punched her in the mouth. See, it would have been on from here on out. That's the proper way to handle it. Now, one thing that can be done as far as getting some straightening going right now, Big Boy, he's gonna I wonder what his response was to this white Asian who tried to, or whoever trying to label him as anti-Asian.
Hey, hopefully he's got a respond from him because I've been tagging him. Let's go. Tag Big Boy. Okay.
And now here's the thing. It is impossible in theory and practice, and every black American needs to say this loud and proud, for any black American to be racist, homophobic, or anti-Semitic. That's just a fact. Now, what needs to happen is they need to bring up that Asian dude that shot that little black boy through his window. They need to bring up Officer Yanez. Then what about Soon Do Job, that chick that shot Natasha Harlins?
Peter Lee Yang shot Natasha Harlins, walking down the stairwell in New York City. He going outside chasing another suspect. You kill him instantly.
So now, that's what you call anti-black racism. Nobody can point to any input. We can't be that, because number one, what happened with Natasha Harlins, just remember 400 years of slavery. This chink got 400 hours of community service. That's what she got for murdering a black child. So nobody, and I'm talking about, we're the only group of people that can tell them with certainty, moral certainty, it's impossible in theory and practice for any black American to be racist, homophobic, or anti-Semitic. I mean,
all right.
But they got that hate crime bill, so what's up with that now?
All right. Thank you. Thank you to Xander. We're gonna go ahead and get to no taxation, and we're gonna get to CC, and then we're gonna close it out for the night. No taxation. Go ahead. Oh, no taxation was up there, but she must have stepped down. Oh, I see her coming back up here. She must had an issue or whatever. So
I'm here.
Okay, go ahead. I'm gonna let you get it in for about 3 minutes, and then we're gonna get CC by 3, and then we're gonna close it out for the night, y'all.
When I told my story, I think you all have to understand that this was at a time, I went to that school, this was at a time when desegregation was just happening. I was born in segregation. And if you don't know what segregation is and the Jim Crow laws are, see, I experienced all that. You weren't supposed to walk down the sidewalk. If you saw somebody white coming up, you were supposed to step down. And now my family didn't practice that, But I have seen black men especially, which used to just break my heart, have to kowtow and bow their head down when they talk to white people. See, I didn't experience any of that. I didn't see that in any of my family or extended family, I keep telling you, I was raised blackety black, kind of revolutionary black, So I didn't have what I have now, which was a healthy fear of white folks. Because here's what I know for sure about white people, especially white boys, when you get them in a crowd, is nothing they won't do, okay? And so, I stay away from from those types of crowds and stuff like that. That's the healthy fear, you know, especially by myself. But having said that, I think you have to understand, Black, that when those pictures that you would see with black men walking, and they had the placards on them saying, "I am a man." See, all that is what was going on. You got to understand that black folks in this country at that particular time, they were nothing. They were nothing. And it wasn't so much as fighting for a white gaze as is according to what I was taught, okay? And I don't know about everybody else. But it wasn't so much as fighting for a white gaze as it was for the white gaze to be off of us. See? And I really fought that when I was working with people in poverty down south, doing research. I would join these longitudinal research studies down south from these different schools, and then I'd go down there and just wreak havoc. Because, see, we have been researched enough. Our problem is not wanting to be, have the white gaze on us. Our problem always has been to get the white gaze. And when I say gaze, I mean G-A-Z-E. I'm not talking about G-A-Y-S, gaze. Getting the white gaze off. And so it depends on especially those were turbulent times. You understand what I'm saying? This was the 60s. Those were turbulent times. Those were times when you know, they would shoot you if you were standing in your driveway. You know, that they would make sure that the Panthers got the worst press in the world. You know, so our problem was never about getting a white gaze. Our problem was getting the white gaze off of us, which remains our problem today. The fight is different. We're fighting for different things. We can't go wherever we want to go. Are we going to be welcome? Can we live? That's something that's up in the air. And as it turns out, what we have found out and research concludes that people would rather be around people that are like them than different from them. So it was never about getting white folks to notice us, because the problem was that they noticed us way too much. That was the problem, in the wrong way. And so that remains the problem today. And that's how systemic racism is able to operate, because they keep their eyes on it. They don't take their eyes off of it. And we've got to make sure that, I still say to this day, if and when we get just economic reparations. I'm not talking about repair to the systems. I'm just talking about closing the racial wealth gap. If we get that, that will change that white gaze. And I'll leave it there.
Okay. Thank you. No taxation. We're going to get up CC. Little Bear, I was going to let CC be the last speaker for the night because I need to go ahead and close this out. I'm definitely trying to close it out before 11, but I'll go ahead and I'll let you say something real quick. Roller, I'll let you say something real quick as well, too, because like I said, I'm trying to close this out. We've been going since 8. So, CC, I'm going to let you go real quick. Lil Bear, Roller, those are the last speakers for the night, everybody. So we'll have to come back Monday when we come back and speak. But go ahead, CC.
Hey, thank you for letting me speak again, DJ Segway, Newstoter, peace, love, and reparations to everyone in the space. I would like everyone to go back and watch the video of that young black high school girl when she got her nose broken. Notice that the white boy always stood at the ready. He was ready to jump on her. And then when the white girl walked away, he wanted to harm the black girl, just like the cops do, white males do. He was ready. He wanted some action from her. And so when it ended, you know, you could call it peaceably, whatever. He couldn't let it go. He needed to have the upper hand. He needed to dominate a black female. He needed to harm a black woman. And historically, you remember the woodpile and what they've been doing to us for centuries. He needed to have that confrontation with that young black girl. He needed, it's a compulsion. He needed to beat her. He ran up on her. But what I want you to also notice, where were the black boys? Were they filming? What were they doing? I don't know, can't speak on it. But the main part is he needed to do that.
The hallway was empty. There was nobody there, but go ahead.
No, behind her. Remember, they were filming. Go back and look.
But they weren't black, though. There was only one black boy.
Okay,
It go with the bullshit.
It was only one black kid.
Okay, real quick, y'all. Real quick, DJ. Even go ahead and let Cece go ahead and get her point in there and say what she was gonna say.
We have another place, y'all. No, you gotta go, brother. But go ahead, though. Just real quick. Go ahead.
Yeah, but
Go ahead, Cece.
I was muted, but making it clear, I keep saying the white boy needed. It was a compulsion. It's a sickness. He had to do it. He couldn't walk away. He had to get a piece of her. He had to harm her. And he knew there were no repercussions, right? So that's something I want everyone to notice. He had to do it. I know I'm repeating myself, but go look at the video. Look at his face. Look at his stance. They walked away. He ran up. He had to do it. He had to do it. So I had to comment on that. The next thing is about the Asian incident with Big Boy. The Asians are on a campaign. You know, they're being funded by what's his name? Bloom and other Jewish groups and white groups. So they're playing themselves. You know, they've undermined themselves with affirmative action. But they won't admit, and you can Google this, 75% of attacks on Asians are by white males. Not just white males, white male Republicans. My last point, that was just food for thought. The white gays that was just spoken of, right? The worst place to be, as they say, is in the mind of any white person. If they fixate on you, good, bad, indifferent, it's never going to end well. Those are my thoughts. Peace, love, and reparations. I love you all.
Thank you, Cece. Appreciate you, sister, as always. Let me go ahead and get to Lil Bear, and then I'm going to get to Rock Roll. And then, like I said, we're going to be closing this out for the night. Go ahead, Little Bear, real quick. I'm going to give you a couple minutes because I know you spoke, and I'm going to let Rock Raleigh get something in real quick, too.
Yeah, okay. So just because I went to the school and somebody, I can't remember who, but a brother had said that he didn't know the phone number or how to contact the school. I put it up in the Jumbotron, but everyone may not be able to see it because my page is locked. I also put the phone number in the comment section, so if you all would just, please call the school. I've been calling.
The name of the school so everyone can look it up?
Yes, thank you. Shawnee Mission East High School. That is the number in the chat and in the Jumbotron directly to the school. I've been calling. They just before you can even complete your sentence, they dump you into the principal's voicemail. But you all may want to also look up, since we are at a time crunch, also look up the Shawnee Mission School District, because it's bigger than just East the high school. It is a district, problem. And so the number's in the chat. Please call. Let's run it up. and the Jumbotron. Peace, love, and reparations. Thank you all so much for letting me speak.
Thank you, sister. Let me go ahead and get to my man Rock Roller, and then we're gonna be closing it out for the night. What's up, Rock Roller?
Hey, what's up, Newstoter? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. How you doing?
Well, everything's good. What's up, DJ? I just came up. I wanted to remind the family back when that stuff happened to Latasha Harkins. It was actually that really got that LA on alert. That city was already getting ready to explode, and Rodney King just was diffused and lit the flame. So it was that whole riot was really about her. So I just came up to say that for me.
Okay, appreciate that. Rock Roller, he always comes up. He's always quick up in the space as well, too. So shout out to Rock Roller. DJ, you want to go ahead and say something before we go ahead and close it out for the night?
Yeah, just real quick, I know you gotta go. Feminism has been a bad thing to Black Americans because the white woman she was originally arguing with, the sister, she stood there idly by and let that white boy beat on her. So there you go, Black ladies, in your relationship with your white homegirls. I'm out.
All righty. On that note, guys, we will definitely be back on Monday night. So y'all know when to join us Monday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here on Twitter. If you're on YouTube, it's going to be 8:10 Eastern Time, p.m. Eastern Time. So definitely, guys, join us. Make sure y'all visit newstoter.com. Once again, visit newstoter.com to stay up to date on breaking Black news. This article here, and the article came directly from our curation partner, the Kansas City Defender. They were on the actual YouTube channel as well, gave a shout out for us covering the story. Like I said, make sure you follow the Kansas City Defender as well, too. They have great content. One of our many Black-owned media news outlets that we curate news from. So definitely support them. Support the Black media, support the new Black media, support the independent Black media, support the young Black media, support the middle-aged Black media, support all the Black media that you can that's putting out the content every day. And, we do that every day as always. So, guys, like I said, I appreciate all you guys coming up in the space tonight. Thank all you guys. DJ, are you holding the space tonight or no?
Hey, if the people want me to, if not, it's over with. Y'all want me to? Yeah, no.
Yes.
Okay, we go. That's why I love you. See, my main chili. You know what I'm saying? Trouble. What's up, Trouble? How you doing, sister? All right, hang up. Hang up. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead.
But on that note, guys, once again, thank you. Y'all make sure y'all retweet this space out too. It's recorded. So if the people didn't get a chance to see it, CC, I know you got a decent amount of followers as well too. So everybody up in the space that can retweet it out, because this is a very important space, definitely go ahead and do that. Shout out to everybody that supported on Cash App as well too. $ Newstoter for anybody that wants to support. The PayPal, Venmo, that's up in the Jumbotron. It's been tweeted out. So peace. We'll see you guys. Have a good weekend. And I'll see you guys Monday.